Hey everybody, welcome to Geekoholics Anonymous episode 419. I'm your host Rico, here with my co-host Dane, Cody, and I get together once a week, talk about video games, TV, movies, and or whatever the hell we like. Primarily video games. Usually we start our show with our BS section, which we're barely in because I haven't done anything beyond the intro. And then we get a little bit of housekeeping. And, of course, our what you've been playing with this week. Boom, boom, boom. Spider-Man 2. My impressions / review that you guys all said to wait until the podcast. So I didn't record anything early or mini cast or whatnot. So here it is in a couple minutes because we're not there yet. After our what you've been playing, we get into some news and stuff. The meat of the show. And, of course, public service announcements. And our free-for-all section. Dane, how are you? Tired?
So tired.
Sounds like you had a long freaking day.
Yeah, I got home this morning at about 5 a.m. So
sounds pretty awesome.
It was a long night.
I'd say
a very long night.
The opposite of awesome.
I mean, yeah, it was funny. You put in our Discord that I had a work event and made it sound like I was out partying or something. Like I was like, no, this was a work. Like I was working. Like it wasn't a work event. I was scheduled to be working.
I was fucking working late. I forgot you were when I typed that after I put the message up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. He fucking had to work.
Yeah, no, I had an after hours. We were ripping out a whole bunch of infrastructure and stuff, and shit went a little sideways, got a little complicated. So, but it's not something you can just like throw your hands in the air and be like, well, sorry, all your shit's fucked. We're out.
Throw your hands in the egg.
I'll come back tomorrow and help you out. Like it doesn't really work like that. So
then we can't make money.
Can't leave them in the lurch for the morning. So it was very much
our store.
Sorry?
You broke our store, our business, or whatever.
You broke our giant plant and everything in it.
Yeah.
So
Dane's head would have been rolling.
Yeah, it would have been a problem.
But you got her done, and now you're tired.
Yes, I did. I did come home, managed to get some rest, but yeah, it definitely, yeah.
It was not fun.
I mean, yeah, like it's always one of those things, right? It's not fun, but also like it's kind of fun, if that makes sense. Like, it's one of those, like, it's late, you're kind of shit's going side. Yeah, anyways, it's kind of exciting.
And you were away on the weekend, so you didn't really play any video games, did you?
No, my video games, we were in Seattle this weekend with some friends that were in from out of town. So it was a pretty packed weekend.
You're complaining about Seattle. What's up?
Man, I don't know what the fuck happened to Seattle. So, like, we were
sort of fine when we were at PAX.
Kind of, but it's, like, weird because, like, I think some of the stuff down and around PAX is a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But, so, like, where we were was down near, like, Pike's Place or whatever. We were just kind of staying down near the water and stuff. And then, so, like, our first night down, we like came into town and everything, and we grabbed our hotel, and that was all cool. And then we were like, oh, let's like go grab some food. It's like, I don't know, like 7, prime sort of dinner time or whatever. And we were like, okay, cool. So like, and we had our friends from out of town, so they were like, oh, we'll meet you somewhere. Where do you want to go? So we were like kind of going back and forth, trying to figure out like where we wanted to eat and stuff.
And gone to the Dough Zone.
Well, that was a long ways from where we were, but
Oh, you weren't right downtown.
No, we were downtown, but like the other side of downtown. I did sort of joke about the Dough Zone though, to be honest. But no, like, so we were like, okay, cool, let's go. Oh, we found this like Texas barbecue place. Looks really good. Closes at 8 p.m. on a Friday night.
Huh?
We're like, what the fuck? So then we like find this other place, and we're like, oh, sweet. Closes at 8 p.m. on Friday night. We hit like 6 different places, and they were all closing within like 30 minutes of us like gonna be like, you know what I mean? Like they were all gonna be closed by the time we got there, kind of a thing. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? So then we found another place that didn't close at 8 p.m. They were open, so we went there. Oh no, they close at 9. So like so we're there and like we're like you sit down, we're like friends that we haven't seen in a while, so we're like chatting and visiting and like
Yeah, you want to
I'll bring some
bullshit and
beers out,
whatnot.
we're like taking our time or whatever, and then like we're in the middle of like our appetizers and the guy comes over and he's like, so yeah, it's like last call, the kitchen closes in like 10 minutes, like so do you guys want to order like mains, do you want more drinks, like we close at 9 and it's just like 10 to 9 and we're like, wait, what, you close at 9? It's a Friday night, like what the fuck is going like. And he's like, yeah, Seattle's like kind of a day city, so it's not really like a lot of things aren't really open late. And I was just like, what the fuck? Since when is Seattle a day? Like,
All the
it was
zombies come
so
out.
weird. Like, so like, yeah, of course, like obviously, you go to Belltown or whatever, and like some of that shit's open because of course it's open, like because that's where all the clubs and shit are. But like, yeah, it was just like really odd. Like, it was just so weird that so many things. And then like kind of a similar thing on like Saturday night, we were like gonna go eat at some places, and they were like they close like super early. They're like closing at 8 o'clock, and it's like I don't understand what restaurant is like on a Friday Saturday night. Like how are they? It just yeah. Anyways, I don't know. It was just like really odd.
You'll need to start having earlier dinner, man.
I apparently it's just yeah. So anyways, it was really odd. And then like the one like oh yeah, Seattle's more of a day city, and I was just like the
I've
fuck.
never heard that before.
Me neither. Like it's just
Seems like it's still recovering from the pandemic kind of thing.
I don't know, man. I mean, then, like there sure is a lot of well, that was the other thing. So like after we finished dinner, we're like, oh, we'll just go back. We got like we're staying at like the Marriott or whatever. We'll go back to like our hotel. We got like there was a dude there. He like was serving drinks and stuff. Like
Yeah.
hey, it's a hotel bar. Like we'll go back to the hotel. Like that'll be cool, right? A hotel bar closes at freaking 10. So like we got back there, got one drink, and the hotel bar closed. We're like, what the fuck? Like, so, anyways,
Sleepy
yeah,
Seattle.
it was so. And there was only like one valet on duty. Like the poor guy, I felt so bad for him. Like because that hotel doesn't allow like they don't have a parking garage that's close by. So either you have to go park your car and then like and find a spot, or you can valet it. That's it. Those are your
Yeah.
only options. Um, and like the package that we had included like the car stuff. So we were like, okay, cool. Well, we'll just park our car, or valet our car, or whatever, because that was the package that we'd purchased or whatever. But like the poor guy was like running ragged. Like he looked so stressed out when we pulled in because he's like the only guy. It's a Friday night, right? So like of course everybody's coming in. The guy's like so busy and he's the only one working. I was like,
How
what
the
the hell?
fuck?
Like it just yeah, I don't like it's weird
Did they
because
just not
like
have anyone else? Or did the other guy
no.
call in sick or
I
something?
guess no, I guess they just yeah, I don't know. Like it just seems like it's weird, man. It's like ever since the pandemic, a lot of things like I don't know if it's staffing, but I also don't know if it makes me wonder with different places how much of it, everybody's like, oh yeah, we can't find people or whatever, but I don't know how many of these places are actually looking for extra people either. Like I don't know if this is one of those things where like everybody's like a lot of these businesses are complaining about not being able to find people, but I don't know how many of these businesses are looking for extra people, if you know what I mean.
I think they're looking for people, but they're not paying what anyone's willing to take as a wage. So they blame it
Yeah.
on, oh, we can't hire no one. We can't hire anyone. We can't find anyone. It's like, yeah, because no one wants your shitty job for shitty dollars. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people in the pandemic learned they're worth more. And a lot of people who got fucked by businesses were like, I'm not letting that happen again. So, not
Yeah, I wonder if like that's I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that that's definitely part of it,
like that's
but
all
it's
service
interesting.
industry's been like leveled in terms of reliability and quality since the pandemic.
Yes, absolutely.
And
And like
that's what
that's
those
the other
jobs,
thing,
all
right?
those jobs are that affected your visit
Yeah.
is that industry. Every single
Yeah.
one.
So like, that was the other thing is like they're doing housekeeping only every other day, which is like fine, like I don't really care. But it's just like one of those things, right? Like where my wife, she was like, "Oh, can I get some like extra like stuff or whatever?" Like it would, and it's
No
just like,
extra
"Oh, okay,
stuff.
well it's going to take longer to bring stuff, you know what I mean?" Like so it's just like little things like that. But I just mean like it's kind of curious when people complain about like, oh yeah, we can't find people, but then when you go on like their website or whatever, you're like, according to your website, you're not hiring for any of these positions. You're hiring for other stuff, but you're not hiring for any of these. You know what I mean? Like, so it's all also kind of curious to me that some of these places complain about saying they can't find people, but I almost wonder if it's a case of let's try to see what we can kind of get away with because we found out that people kind of don't really care to some degree and we still make buttloads of money.
Mm-hmm.
And we can get away with not having an extra bartender till midnight or whatever because we don't see that much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's actually cheaper for us not to have. Yeah, I don't know. So, anyways, it was just kind of curious. Like, and I was, because, like, that was the thing, right? It's like we were talking to the guy and we were like, man, like, you guys close at 10. And, you know, and he's like, yeah, well, I'm the only bartender and I've been here since, you know, whatever time he got there at or whatever, right? Which was like a long shift, you know, and we're like, so but you're the only one here. He's like, yeah, I'm the only bartender here. There was like him and one other
I'm the only
like
one.
sort of server slash like, you know, that person would sort of like pour a few drinks or make some stuff. But
When I call in sick, there's no fucking bar open.
but the other thing too is like no room service. They weren't even offering any room service at all for like period. Like so even if you wanted, you couldn't order like breakfast or dinner or any of that. Like, you know, normally like they inflate the prices out insane, which like, you know, so it's not again, not a big deal for us because it's not something that we generally partake in anyways. But it's just I thought it was interesting that they were like, oh yeah, we're not offering room service at this time either. Um, you know, so it's just kind of like, man, still really like it. Yeah, it's just kind of wild, is all. So yeah,
I didn't go on any fancy trips or have any disappointments in service. My kid was pretty busy, birthday parties and stuff, and I got lots of time to hang out and screw around at home, so it's pretty chill.
lucky for you.
Mm-hmm. Um, so nothing too crazy going on except for playing games, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Before we get started, though, housekeeping. We're a podcast first and foremost. Geekoholics.com has all the subscription links to the show. Apple, Google, RSS feed. And of course, you can catch us live on twitch.tv/Geekoholics every Wednesday, but now this is Thursday, the second time in a row, due to unforeseen circumstances. Usually Wednesdays, 8:30 Pacific time, twitch.tv/Geekoholics. And also, remember to join our Discord server, Geekoholics.com/Discord. That's where we hang out. That's where you can chat with us. And yeah, that's my social media. That's the extent of my social media. Is if you want to hear from me or us quite reliably, you can do it on our Discord server.
Yeah.
With that, shall we get into some what you've been playing, Dane?
What have you been playing?
I've been playing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 5.
Woohoo.
Provided by PlayStation. Thank you very much, Sony.
Very cool.
I got this game a long time ago.
Yeah, you've been at it for.
Most reviewers, I think,
you
have
beat
had
it like a week ago.
Yeah, I platinumed it a week and a half ago.
Wow.
And I've had it for almost 3 weeks. But
Jeez.
yeah, I don't know. I platinumed it. I don't know if that tells you anything.
Seems like it's okay then.
I don't platinum a lot of games. Nah, not that it's hard. To be honest, it's actually a pretty easy platinum. It's just a time investment, not a skill investment. So it's just doing the things and checking the boxes.
Do the things. Yeah.
But yeah, Spider-Man 2, the sequel to Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales, Spider-Man 1.5. If you played those games, you may have an idea what you're in for. But I will say Spider-Man 2 just tweaks and refines everything they've done before in terms of gameplay, traversal, combat, graphics. It's just everything's better.
Makes sense.
Wasn't sure what I like, you know, when Spider-Man 2 is coming. We're seeing previews, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, cool. Another Spider-Man game. Spider-Man 1 was great. Miles Morales was great. I'm
Right.
like, it'll just be more of that, which it very much is. But
Okay.
they've made things better. Like, I went back and played the other two to see the difference.
All the way through?
No, fuck no.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not fucking
You made
crazy.
it sound like you went and played the both. I was like, man.
No,
like,
I
that's
went and played
pretty,
the
like-
Spider-Man remastered for like an
Okay.
hour or two, and I went and played Miles Morales for an hour or two.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Because I wanted to because in my mind, Spider-Man
Yeah.
2 is a sequel and has everything's the same.
Right.
But oh no, it's not. Like visually, like the difference from the remastered to Spider-Man 2 is like very obvious. Less of a jump, I'd say,
Sure.
from Miles Morales, because Miles Morales looked really good because it also came out on PlayStation, though it was on PS4 as well.
Yeah.
This one is next gen only. I did
Right.
play in
So PS5 only.
Yeah, I played in Fidelity Uncapped mode, which is the VRR mode, which
Right.
is from I guess according to Digital Foundry, it's like a 40 FPS mode.
Oh, that's a cool mode. That's good.
Which I think it might go a little higher, but the resolution
Well, yeah,
is
it's gonna
not
try and do what it can.
The resolution is not strictly locked to 4K the whole time.
Right. So it uses dynamic resolution.
Yeah. I found playing that mode did look better than the performance mode, like visually, because it's got all the bells and whistles on, right? Like,
But I feel like if you have VRR and you're enabling that mode, I feel like that's probably the perfect mix of both.
yeah, it honestly,
Because like you're getting a lot of the eye candy, but because of VRR, it's going to help smooth out some.
Yeah, it's less of a
some of those things.
slideshow that 30
Yeah.
feels like.
Right.
Um,
It's gonna be smoother than 30, obviously,
Yeah.
right? So
it's obviously not as smooth as 60,
no,
but
of course.
it's in such a playable state that I was like, I'm just leaving it here. Like this
That's awesome.
It's fantastic. It looks awesome and it plays good. And you know,
I mean,
at times,
those of us in the know have been asking for a mode like that for years for lots of different games, especially on the consoles, because like, you know, the big thing is like, yeah, obviously 30 is it can feel not very smooth, but
it really
when
depends on what
by
they're doing.
only
Like,
going up to 40.
like 30 in Final Fantasy 16 doesn't feel like 30 to me in most games.
No, it's an incredibly locked 30 and stuff, and that's yeah. But even going up to 40, it's like it's just so much extra smoothness. Like it's weird. Like yes, it's not quite 60, but it's like
It's
you know,
noticeable.
it's a
definitely
perfect
noticeable.
trade-off between the two of them. You know what I mean?
So I played in that mode.
Cool.
Because I fuck, it looked great, and I'm like, I'm just leaving it here. I'm like, I did switch to performance, and I'm like, I can tell it doesn't look as good. It's super smooth, but
did they not offer like a performance with ray tracing mode?
yeah, it still looks
Okay.
good. But like,
Okay.
I actually could notice the difference. Normally, when I go to a performance mode on consoles, I honestly don't notice a big difference visually, but I
Sure.
notice a difference visually going from the fidelity mode to this performance mode. Like, for once, I'm like, oh, I can see why these guys want us to play these modes, because I'm like, I feel like that looks better, you know?
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? They're putting all this time and effort into trying to make something "quote unquote" next gen,
Yeah.
or current gen finally. But but a lot of people, it's still next gen because this generation has been so stunted. So I mean, I definitely understand. They're trying to kind of make people feel like, hey, I finally have a PS5 and this is what I bought it for. You know what I mean? Like, this is the type of shit that cannot run on my PS4. So
Not that performance mode looks bad, though.
no, I'm sure it doesn't. I'm sure it looks
after I
incredible
beat the
still.
game, I've been playing it on performance mode now. Not that I really have anything to do, but it was more
Right.
like playing it again after I played the other two to like just realize more of the differences. So graphically, the game's fucking fantastic. Like the cutscenes, the fucking gameplay, like it's like dialed up a notch.
Right.
It's noticeable, especially noticeable coming from Spider-Man 1. Less noticeable from Miles Morales, because I'm gonna be honest, Miles Morales looked really cool with all the snow and stuff.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man
It's
2.
one of my favorites, man. It's like that game. It's got such charm, and then the
Mhm.
story, and it looks so cool.
Spider-Man 2
Oh,
nails it. Graphics
that's
amazing.
awesome.
And then, okay, traversal. We got the wingsuit. It's fucking awesome. It's so cool. Like
That's pretty sweet.
it was already awesome swinging around in the Spider-Man games. Like
Yeah.
it was fast, it was fun, it had a good feeling. Especially now with the DualSense, kind of feeling the tension in the triggers of the swinging a little bit is kind of neat, and the added vibration and stuff with the DualSense generally through the whole game. But like it's kind of cool because you get this kind of resistance when you're doing the web swinging.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you swing, do your tricks, go into your freaking, the web wings or whatever. Is that what they're called? I think that's what they're called.
I don't know. You're the one that played the game.
They're kind of it's kind of like a built-in squirrel suit. You know what I mean? That those parachuter
Yeah.
guys do. He just like, and then they come out of his wings, and then he's like floating, and you can hit air vents and gain height. Later
Right.
on, you unlock some skills that actually let you gain some speed and more height as well through abilities.
Sure.
But you can't. You could almost do it forever. It just depends where you start. But eventually, you're going to keep losing altitude, and eventually you hit the ground or need to start swinging again, right?
Right.
But
yeah.
it's neat for like getting across some of the open areas because they've added new parts to the main Manhattan. It's like Brooklyn and Queens and all that kind of stuff. So there's some open water areas where there's not so much to swing on.
Yeah.
But you could, from some of the buildings on the shore, get enough height that you could essentially wing across the river and stuff like that. And
Right.
and also there's like wind tunnels and stuff that can get you kind of like little speed tunnels up and down the islands or the city.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Everywhere. Yeah. They are kind of cool. So that's fun. Like they added another dynamic to that already fantastic traversal mechanic. And then of course with the combat, I find the combat is so much like it's doing abilities and using your Spider-Man gadgets is much more intuitive and smooth in this one than it was in the last one.
Right.
Because like I was playing the first Spider-Man, and you have to hold down R1 and bring up a weapon wheel to choose your gadgets. So it like slows time, and then you can equip a gadget, and then R1 uses the gadget.
Right.
It's not very elegant.
No.
And the same goes for Miles as well.
Yeah, they essentially use the same system.
Yeah, essentially. And then in Spider-Man 2, you actually just hold down R1 and hit the face buttons. Your gadgets are mapped to the 4 buttons.
Right.
So you could easily, without slowing down combat or bringing up a weapon wheel and pausing the rhythm of the fight, use one of your gadgets. So I honestly, in Miles Morales and the first Spider-Man, I barely used gadgets. Besides shooting the default webs.
Yeah,
the web
it's
guys up.
Kind of true. Like there was, or I'd have to very specifically think about,
like because you had to think about what to use and this and that, and
yeah,
and the big thing with abilities and the tools, the gadgets, in the bottom corners of the screen, you've got little kind of face buttons that kind of represent the 4 buttons, right? And or the 4 buttons, basically the 4 face buttons, and they're like kind of essentially the cooldowns for those gadgets and those abilities. Abilities are L1 and the gadgets are R1 and the face buttons.
Right.
So when you're in combat, it's really easy to go, oh, my fucking super crazy spider moves up, L1 triangle, blah, 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 blah. Oh, let's use this web gadget. I'm getting overrun by guys. R1 X button, blah, 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 and then your default web, just tapping R1 was like your default, like shooting out webs, right?
Sure, yeah.
So it just made combat so much better. Like I was using the gadgets like crazy because I could see which ones were readily available because they have like little charges to each one, 2, 3, 4, 5 charges, like little bars above the little circles, and they're not huge. They're just down in the corners. It's just enough, like, to let you know what's ready to go.
That makes
And
sense. I mean, that's a similar system that Final Fantasy 16 uses, right?
mhm.
You see
And
your abilities down there, and it's like they're recharging, so you can
yeah,
see like, oh, okay,
exactly,
I'm ready to
exactly.
use them again.
So
Like that
then
makes
on the left
sense.
side, you've got your spider abilities. So Peter and Miles each have their own abilities, right? Because they have different powers.
Yeah,
And then same thing when you use a power, it just starts like a little cooldown. It's like you're playing an MMO. It's like a little bar filling up, and
yep,
doing certain moves in fights, refill abilities or gadgets,
sure.
doing finishers, doing certain stuff in combat
Helps it
can
go faster
yeah, it
and
can help
stuff.
it go faster
Yep.
or instant
Or
recharge certain stuff depending on some of the
sure.
skills you have.
Or
Uh,
suits. I'm
Pardon?
assuming there's a buttload of suits, and some of those suits might have something to do with it.
Now the suits are purely cosmetic this time. They don't have,
Really,
yeah, they don't have things associated
really.
with them.
I
Um,
kind of liked that about. I mean,
well, they pulled all that out and put it into a tree. Like each character has a
right.
tree, and then the
Hmm.
two Spider-Mans have a tree. So they
Interesting.
kind of took that stuff out because some of that stuff was weird. Because some of it was like do plus damage, and it's like
Yeah, but
it.
like I guess like okay, so like as a comic book nerd and
Yeah,
as a huge Spider-Man fan, for me I loved the suits because like usually the reason that like
he had certain suits
Spider-Man
were for
made
certain
certain suits
abilities or gadgets. Yeah,
was to make that ability because of a situation that he needed to build that, a little bit Iron Man-esque, right? Where he's like,
yeah.
"Oh shit, I need to build a suit to help me fight this situation with Dr. Octavius or Falcon or whatever," like, right?
See, that
So to
is
see those
neat.
abilities in the game was fun because I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, like that suit did."
Yeah, but they didn't do a lot. They were more boosts to the gadgets and his abilities.
Yeah,
So
no, they
because
were.
because when I go back to playing those games and I was looking at that, so these little perks and bonuses are
Yeah,
hidden
totally.
in another menu in the suits.
Mhm.
Whereas you just have your trees with those boosts
No,
and
and then like by making it purely cosmetic, you can get the possibility of a boost or whatever, but still keep the suit that you want.
hmm So
So like I
well,
get
that's
that. It
it. The
makes
suit,
sense.
yeah. So you don't give anything up by looking the way you want to look. Um,
Right.
and then they put abilities on a separate screen as well as so you can choose different abilities to equip. You can have 4 at any time, and I think 2 of the 4 or maybe 3 of the 4 have like you could pick between 2.
Hmm.
I can't
Okay.
remember. I can't remember how many you can like customize, but you're not. There isn't just 4. There's more than 4 skills, and a couple of them you can switch up, and a couple you can't.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
and then obviously, I don't know. Spoiler alert: some of them change for Pete. If you've been living under a rock and not seen a single trailer, you might
Yeah,
not
no, I mean
know.
that makes sense. We'll keep it for the people that are trying to do a blackout.
Yeah, like I
That
don't know
makes sense though.
if you've never. I should have prefaced this. If you've never seen a trailer of this movie, maybe you might want to skip this review. Um, but I'm gonna be pretty spoiler free. But if you've seen a trailer, you know fucking who the big villain is. We've known for like a year or two now. Um,
I feel like maybe that honestly was a little bit uh as somebody who's planning on playing the game, like I obviously knew that that person makes an appearance in the game, but
yeah,
I don't know who the big villain is, and maybe the rest of the people don't know either.
yeah. Well, it's pretty obvious because they spoiled it with their marketing. So if you
I don't
watch,
think so though. All you know is that he's in the game. That's not necessarily the big villain.
mm,
Because
yeah,
like,
well,
let's be honest, Spider-Man's got lots of villains. So like,
yeah. There's a
just because
few.
that makes an appearance does not mean that that is the quote unquote big villain.
Yeah, if you've beaten the first game, they kind of allude to it as well, right? So, um,
Yeah, but
but anyway, um, fucking the combat is great. They tightened it up. I feel like it's like I went back. Miles feels better than Spider Man, and Spider Man 2 feels miles better than the first Spider Man. Like they
yeah,
incrementally got better and better. So
sure.
it's even better in this game. I really like the visualization for the abilities and the gadgets because that was another thing I was noticing with Spider-Man and Miles. It's like you had your charges that you built up through combos,
Yep.
And then it's like they had the same kind of system where you pressed L1 and a face button to do an ability,
Yeah.
but then like that, I don't know what they called it, but I guess your ability usage would go away. Like in the top of the screen, there was like a little glowy thing or whatever, and then it was
Yeah, it
done.
was essentially like your ability meter, right?
Yeah, but
And
it
you'd
was
have to build it up
you
again
have to
before you
build it
could
up again.
use it
But in
again.
this one, you can have all four, so essentially you can have more abilities. Whereas in those ones, I felt like you can do two big moves, and then you had to build it up again. Whereas in this one, you can have four big ass ability moves, like all because they're all you see the four of them down in the corner charging up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a little more clear on the usage of those, I felt like. And then of course you had your focus meters that you could use to heal or do finishers, and those were also built up for
Right.
doing combos. And then there was all kinds of suit upgrades, of course, and that's what you were talking about, the stuff that was on the suits per se. They have a general just suit upgrades, like they have a health track, a combat track, a traversal track. They've taken all that stuff that was like essentially like on the suits individually, but more generally just all the suits. And just like everything else, it's the same thing. You're getting tokens from doing crimes and certain types of missions. You're getting,
preventing
depending on
crimes, you mean?
what's that?
You're not doing crimes. You're preventing crimes.
Shutting down crimes, rescuing people.
I was like, man, that would be quite a twist on Spider-Man. Out here doing crimes,
doing side quests, yada yada yada. Finding stuff on the map, unlocking stuff, and you earn the different.
Is there something equivalent to the backpacks?
Yes, it's different this year.
Okay.
Because there was like tons of backpacks strewn around the other games, right?
Yeah, well, the first one specifically, which I kind of liked. It was
and
like,
what was in Miles?
I don't remember if there was. I mean, because Miles was a smaller game. I'm not sure if there was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not backpacks in this one, but there is a collectible that there is lots of in this one.
Well, I just like it was fun because like the backpacks were neat because like I just think there was a kind of a sound and like they were always attached to like monuments or like something viewpoints or you know what I mean, like like neat sites around the city, like, and it wasn't they weren't strewn about just all willy-nilly. Like it felt kind of like I'm kind of
the collectibles in this one are cool. They're definitely cool. Good. So they're not backpacks. They're something different, but they're definitely cool.
That's why I said a backpack equivalent.
And
right?
there's like it's like a whole side quest, right? And as you hit certain like
milestones and stuff, different things happen,
little story bits that happen, and then the ending of that is pretty cool. There are some really good side quests in this game. Okay, we talked about graphics, we talked about combat. I don't think I have much more to add about combat. In combat, they did add an ability where Pete or Miles can create their own like fucking spider web, like a what do they fucking call it when those guys are trapeze guys?
Oh, tightrope?
Yeah, he can essentially create his own web tightrope anywhere.
Right, which is killer because like that means instead of hopping from point to point, you can create one of those and essentially
you can literally create a spider web of these
which is super cool and super smart,
of these web tightropes when you want to like be sneaky and like zip guys up like up above.
Right, because like he does that shit in the comics and in like the cartons and stuff all the time, right?
So that's a cool thing they added to help stealth. And the thing is, it was stealth. There's no fail a stealth section in this game, and it's over. They fucking
that's cool. They took that out,
so they listened to that. There are some stealth missions in this game.
Yeah,
but I'm not gonna say they're fucking amazing, but they're not terrible and annoying like they were in the other games.
Sure.
They serve the purpose of the certain storytelling parts of the game. Yeah. And they're so much better. Not amazing, but so much better. They're like, I'm not like, oh God, not again. Like in the first game and in Miles, I was like, God, why am I doing this? It's fucking dumb.
Yeah, I feel
Especially
like they
especially
kind
the
of
Mary
cleaned it up
Jane
a
ones.
bit. They cleaned it up a bit in Miles. I feel
Yeah,
like
and it's
where
even better. There's some of them
yeah,
here, and they're so much better.
that's
Um,
cool. That's cool.
but that tightrope thing, that's a really cool ability that they added. And of course, if you fucking fuck up the stealth, like you just go and beat everyone up. The only thing is if you uh, don't do it stealth, and reinforcements come, right? Like, ooh, whoopie doo
Oh, I
dog.
see. So there's like an incentive that's still there,
Yeah,
but
but to
it's
be
not the end of the
honest,
world
I
if
feel
you
like if you just don't want to do stealth, like you could just beat everyone up, and it'll take less time than doing it stealthy.
right.
So there was a couple times like, you know what? I'm fucking beating the shit out of all of you. Come on, let's go. I'm Spider-Man. You're a bunch of fucking punk criminals. Um, and yeah, the stories, the side missions are great. The story's good though. Like, no, I'll get to that. The side missions are cool. There's quite a few little neat emotional, like there's like just this dumb side mission with Miles, and one with, well, there's a couple with Miles, to be honest, actually, and with Peter, that were just like, oh man, it's getting dusty in here. And
Dude, Miles, like that game was like that game brought me to tears multiple
yeah,
times.
there's some
Like
great
especially the way that game ends and stuff.
there's
Like,
some really great heartfelt, like, side missions that are just like, what the fuck? Like, what? This is a stupid throwaway mission. And it's like, I'm getting the feels here. Like, what the fuck?
yeah,
That's impressive. Like,
absolutely.
not to mention, like, the main fucking campaign, like, I think is fantastic. I beat the game in probably 20. My game clock right now says 30 hours, but I'm pretty sure I beat it at like 26 or 25 ish hours.
Right. But
Because
it
I
sounds
went,
like you did a lot of the side stuff already
I
though.
did do a lot of the side stuff because I had completely, before I beat the game, because you get to a point in the game and it's like, hey, if you go and do this, you can't come back and get, you know, it gives you a fucking straight up warning. It's like, this is going to be the
Right.
end of the game. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't have all the gadgets fucking upgraded, and I don't have all this upgraded. So I went and did a bunch of side stuff. Um, so I diverted for like another hour or two or something. And then I came back and did it. I didn't get all the collectibles and do all the side stuff, but I did enough to get my suit fully upgraded, and my abilities and stuff, right? So when you're done doing everything, so I wouldn't sweat it if anyone's out there. It's like, because you might burn yourself out doing all the side stuff before actually beating the game. Because I've heard a couple of people complain about that, right? Like I feel like they did too much side stuff and sidetracked too much, and then like they get to this main story and they're like, just kind of done, you know?
Yeah.
Don't sweat that when you beat the game, and like you're going for your trophies, because essentially you're just going for trophies after you beat it, and you want to get all the collectibles and complete some of the side missions you didn't do while you're playing through the first time. You'll have tons of the like tokens and stuff left over, and experience and stuff, and max level or whatever. Like I was worried. I'm like, I don't think there's enough tokens and this and that. I don't think I'm gonna be able to upgrade everything, you know. But I have like tons of shit like right now, and I've unlocked everything, costumes,
Right.
colors, like everything. Like I said,
That's cool.
I platinum the game. I've done everything.
Sure.
Um, the side stuff is pretty good. The side missions are great. There's some great stories to be had there. There's emotions and feels, and then of course I don't know, fuck the main campaign's pretty great. The new people
Good.
they introduce, stuff that happens. There's some twists on stuff. It's a pretty great ride.
Awesome. I'm excited to check it out, man.
I'd say like, I don't know, like Spider-Man 1 to me was a 10, right? Because that game came out of nowhere and fucking was the first
Yeah, I
of its
mean,
kind.
it's always it's the expectation, right? It's like the expectation was like we're hoping that they make a great game, like because like there had been great Spider-Man games before, the original Spider-Man 2 back on the PS2 days and stuff, incredible game. But obviously the expectation was like, hey, I hope they don't fuck this up, whatever. But then when the game came out, it blew everybody away with how good it was, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Miles Morales came out and sort of tweaked the formula, tightened everything up a bit,
Mm-hmm.
maybe made it a little shorter, et cetera, et cetera. So, of course, now going into this, its expectations are super high, also mixed with the fact that like yes, it's not brand new. Like it's
Hmm.
not, like the formula is
Like
kind of already been
that's
there.
the biggest
You've played
knock
a game a
against
little
this
bit like
game.
this already. Like
Yeah.
it's not necessarily if this isn't one of those games where like if you didn't like the first two, this is going to totally change your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's not, right? It's like those games, but formulaic, but also like they've tweaked a whole bunch of stuff. They've sanded off some more of the rough edges. They've
Yeah.
made it a
Like
little better,
they
like
perfected so many of the systems.
totally.
Like
And it's like if you liked those games, you're probably gonna like and
oh,
or love this game.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
this game in the fun factor is like an enjoyment game when I was playing it, and the ride and the adventure, it's like a 10.
Sure.
But like if you want to get really like you want to get a little more serious and just ignore that and look at it as a product and analyze some of the stuff that's not so great about it, realistically, I'd say 9 is a very fair score. And
Sure.
it's because for me, I wish it was longer.
Interesting.
I wasn't done. It's like for the first time because the story was so good. But then that's
Right.
that's the other big knock against this game is the story is familiar. But that's the
Sure.
problem with Spider-Man and
It's a comic book
superheroes.
movie, right?
That's it.
You know? Sure.
That is a problem that you can't get away from. Like because
I will say though, that is something they did very, very well in Spider-Man 1. Is like the first Spider-Man game is that they recognized, hey, look, this is Spider-Man, but we are going to turn a whole bunch of the regular Spider-Man stuff on its head. Dr. Octopus, he's going to be a different thing. That's, his origin, his everything like that, how that all ends up, that's going to be very different. The villains are all going to be like slightly different. Like, you know
yeah,
what I mean? And even Miles Morales, similar thing. Like they kind of took the formula and they went like, okay, cool. Like Spider-Man's a good guy, whatever, but we are going to set this in our own universe. It's going to be canon for our world. Like, so they even have a, this
yeah,
is world, 919 or whatever it is. I can't remember, but like technically this is their own
yeah.
little
It's
pocket
not
universe.
MCU,
No, it's like, so they can kind of do whatever the fuck they want.
and they still do that in this one as
Right.
well.
Totally. And so like, but that's the fun stuff, like even as a comic book fan, is like, like I wasn't even sure in that first game like what was gonna happen with Doc Ock.
Hmm.
Like, is he gonna become a bad guy? Is he not gonna, like, what is, I don't know. This is super interesting. And same thing with like Miles Morales. Like so as
Uh,
a
uh,
Spider-Man fan, I'm super curious to see
hmm.
how they handle this new Spider-Man game.
Yeah, I will say I think there's a few surprises, even though some of the content is known. There's definitely some of their twists on it.
Sweet.
Like so, yeah. Like I don't know. I said one thing about villains, but it's like it's definitely they've done what they Insomniacs put their touch on this game like every other one, from the
Yeah,
storytelling
absolutely.
and from the characters. There's some really neat stuff in there, and then of course like there's gonna be DLC. I'm really excited. They did DLC in the first one. I will say I feel like the side quests in this one, though maybe not. I can't remember how many there were in the first one, and it's not like side quests. It's like there was more. I feel like more collectible things in the first game per se. I can't really remember, but in this one, like all the collectibles and stuff and the side stuff, they're all side quests with stories.
That's
So,
cool.
so I feel like
That's cool.
it's not just like going and collecting the thing and okay,
Well,
you went from here to there and did the
yeah, well, that
thing.
was the challenge with the first one, right? Is like there was a bunch of stuff in the game that like kind of had a story attached to it, but also very much kind of felt like busy work.
Hmm.
Like, hey, go, turn these
Yeah, like
things
there was the
on.
I remember there was the combat challenges, and then there was something
Yep.
else, but none of that. All of that were just like, oh, there's so many of them to do in a section of the map, and then you check that box and you did them all.
Yeah,
I
more
feel
or
like
less.
whereas in this one, those things you do like build up to a finale
Sure.
and or like an actual mission. You know what I mean? Not just
Yeah.
you got all the tchotchkes and it's done. You know what I mean?
Is
It's
there
more
like
like what's
is there
that?
like the web slinging like challenges. Like there's a couple of these like quote unquote challenges in the first game that I really didn't jive with.
No,
Like a lot of the timed
there's no
challenges.
really skill based weird like
Okay. Because like
there.
especially in the
I
first one,
guess
those weird like web challenges, like some of those web slinging
so.
ones were fucking
There
awful.
is one character in the game that does have these kinds of random scenarios,
Yeah.
but they're mixed. They're not all the same thing, and
Okay.
they're all different.
Cool.
And you don't have to get the best result on them to like get a trophy or a platinum.
Right.
So like if you don't
Cool.
like them, you don't have to painstakingly do something over 40 times. You
Yes.
know,
That
to
that
get
was the
the
big
like
yeah.
there like, I'll just give you an example. There was a combat challenge in one of these areas where it's like don't get hit for like the gold. Like don't
Sure.
get hit at all. And there's like
Right.
fucking cars and shit flying. I'm like what the fuck?
Right.
I didn't do it. I got silver, but to get gold,
Okay.
like I'm like how? And then it's like later on, I'm like, oh, thank God you don't have to worry about that shit for the platinum. Otherwise, it'd be one of those
Okay.
things like, yeah, I'm not getting the fucking platinum. I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah.
So there is some challenging sections that are in there, like events that are
Sure.
replayable.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, nothing that's like I remember in Spider-Man 1, there was some stuff like I don't want to go back and try and ace that.
Totally.
And it was stuff to do with you needed to do to get the platinum. I remember that.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that. I don't know. You just enjoy the game, and then there's tons of accessibility options. Like you can slow the game. Apparently, you can basically create a slowdown button in this game
Oh, that's cool.
to slow down combat in like different percentages of speed. I didn't play with it, but I was looking in the menus, and basically you can set shortcuts to certain commands to the D-pad. And then apparently you can put the accessibility, like that slowdown feature, to like the left click or right click of the stick.
Right.
So if stuff's a little hectic for you, you can like slow down time. You can matrix time it basically.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Um,
smart.
Yeah, it's a great game. Like I said, it's like a 9/10. I want like when I think about playing it, I'm like, oh man, I had so much fun. It's a 10, but it does have some issues and it's not perfect, but it's a fucking amazing. It's still an amazing game. I think what would have made it a 10 for me is if it was longer and I didn't have any glitches, and maybe if the story was a little more. I don't know. There was lots of surprises. See, it's when you talk back about it, it's like you remember being mad about it in the moment because like there's a couple sections where you're doing the Gears walk and talk.
Sure.
Like there's a couple annoyings. I find those sections more annoying than the fucking stealth sections. Where it's like, Force just talking and I'm with this
Okay,
character.
we're doing
I'm
story
like, I want to fucking
exposition. I
play a video
get
game.
it.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Because they do so. The thing is they do so well with like the big boombastic action scenes in this game of telling you a story while still seeing and doing awesome shit on the screen that isn't just walking around.
Yeah.
Like it opens with I think the opening's really cool. I've heard some people bash the opening a little bit. The opening's
Really,
awesome.
I've heard like I was listening to Jeff's show and he was saying like how like the opening is one of the best openings of a video game.
Yeah, the
Like,
opening's
he was
fucking
saying
great.
it was incredible.
I recorded a clip like on my PlayStation the opening because I'm like that was fucking awesome. Like
Yeah.
the way it like amps up and then the music starts and they got cool music and it just like I don't know, kind of has like to me it had very Spider-Verse-y vibes to it.
Right.
With fucking awesome music and then you're doing this crazy shit and so yeah, Spider-Man 2.
Huh.
It's fucking dope. It's a fantastic game. Everyone go buy it. Go play it. Like as if
Awesome.
you needed me to tell you that.
Yeah, I mean,
In
so is this like top like are you thinking like this is this in contention for game of the year?
This is absolutely in contention for game of the year. It's in my top 5 for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This year is
Sweet.
fucking ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no, it's an
This
incredible
year is
year. I was
fucking
just,
insane. Like if you go
Yeah.
back and make a list of the shit that came out this year, there's so many
Oh.
fucking good games this year.
It was a conversation that I had on the weekend, so
I feel like next year's gonna suck for some reason.
everybody blew their load this year. I don't know.
It was like a catch up from the pandemic, and then it's like this. Just I kind of
Well, this is I mean, like I said, I was talking to a friend on the weekend and like this is the year, like this year felt like what 2021 should have felt like for these new consoles.
Mm,
Like this should have been the year. Like, hey, we released the
All these
consoles.
big cool games came out.
Now this is all like we're trying to fire on all cylinders to try and get people to buy them and they want to play them and these are our exclusives and like hey the new generation is here and let's get it going. And instead here we are 3 years later finally getting this, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's so it's interesting how we're finally here. It just took 3 years to get here, right? So yeah, I mean next year is interesting. I'll be super curious because I mean, obviously, Sony and a bunch of these like companies, like even Microsoft and stuff, like we don't really know like what they have got coming out for like first party stuff. Like obviously, we're gonna see some stuff at the Game Awards in December, you know, and,
Yeah.
but like really, yeah, like it's very interesting. Well, like what's next year gonna look like,
Yeah.
you know?
I
So
will say as well with Spider-Man, like Insomniac as a studio has just I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's something they've done on their own. I don't know if it's something they've done from like aspiring and respecting their peers like Santa Monica and Naughty Dog, or is it how Sony handles their studios? But just the quality, like the fuck, they've done these 3 games in what the last 4 years or 5 years.
yeah,
They're fucking amazing. Oh, and let's don't forget they did Ratchet and Clank in there too. It's a
oh
phenomenal
yeah.
game. And these guys just keep getting better and better, and they're just wizards with the hardware as well. Like they are an amazing studio. Like fuck Sony.
Yeah.
Sony must be like, thank God we fucking bought these guys. Like, you know?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like they had in all the years, if you look back at Insomniac's lineup, like they've really only had very minor sort of
They've had cult
oopsies.
classic hits like the fucking infamous stuff.
But I mean, my point though is like those games are arguably like very well received as far as like they sold great
Yeah.
and they were also very well reviewed. You know what I mean? Like as far as like Insomniac hasn't really.
They were PlayStation fans, like amazing games, but not like fucking. They're not the level of. They're not your Halos and Last of Us level. Like everyone's talking about them or loving them.
No, but I mean, my point though is like when you look at what they put out, they haven't really like had a bad game.
No, it's
Fuse was probably their only game that they released in the last 10 years that wasn't a great game.
sorry. Infamous is Sucker Punch. I don't know why I got that confused with Insomniac.
Yeah, I was gonna make that, but like, cause I'm looking at their games right here, and like yeah, Resistance might not have been a Halo, but like those games were great. Like I remember playing them on PS3, and especially like Resistance 2, awesome couch co-op game, super fun. And then they were popping out Ratchet and Clanks in between. And like I said, the only real game that they came out with that was sort of like not a great, not very well reviewed was actually Fuse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was like that has a Metacritic score of like 63. So like that's by far and away their sort of quote unquote one bomb, if you will. But like looking at this list, the rest of these games are, you know, Sunset Overdrive, very well received. I don't love that game, but it's interesting because when you play it, you very much see where they started at with Spider-Man. Like that game feels very much like, hey, if like we polish this up, like you could definitely see where Spider-Man kind of came from a bit. But again, that's a very well received game.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course, like obviously Ratchet and Clank, Song of the Deep, extremely well liked. Like a smaller
Yeah, like
game,
Ratchet.
obviously.
Ratchet
but,
is like definitely a huge iconic Sony franchise. So
yeah.
like these guys,
So
they have some chops. They've been around for a long time.
The crazy thing is that like they've also managed to pop out some of these smaller titles that a lot of people probably don't even realize. You know, like they came out with a game called Stormland for the Oculus. It's a VR title.
Yeah, that game is awesome.
And like that's what I mean, right? Like so they've been popping out. That came out in 2019.
That was
So
awesome.
we got Spider-Man in 2018, which was an incredible fucking game. Then we get Stormland in 2019, and then we get Miles Morales in 2020, along with the Spider-Man remastered. And then we got Rift Apart in 2021, which was again like so these guys have literally been popping out a game every single year for the past several years. Which is, like they're an incredible studio.
Yeah.
So,
It makes me super excited for fucking Wolverine.
oh, I totally
Oh my,
agree. I mean,
like,
here's
oh
the other
my
thing: a
god.
lot of people forget this is the team that made fucking Spyro, man.
Yeah.
These guys, they're fucking kill. It's like looking, like honestly, looking at their whole lineup here. Honestly, I think Fuse is the only like bad game they've ever made. Every other game on here since 1996 has been fucking
Yeah,
banger.
and I don't. Maybe Fuse is a little bit of like try and do the fucking Halo thing, like chase
Well,
the
no, it was more
fucking.
Gears of War, right?
Was it
That
more?
was their cover shooter.
I never. Oh, it was EA.
It was their cover shooter that EA published for them.
So that kind of maybe makes a little more sense. It's like, hey, EA, it's like we want this kind of game. Insomniac, yeah, you guys can make it. Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly, honestly,
I don't know how that goes. That's just how I
um,
imagine it.
yeah, if I remember correctly, I remember some interviews and stuff from back then. That was a game that they wanted to make, and EA was willing to publish. So,
Yeah, I don't.
uh,
Yeah, I didn't play Fuse.
I played the demo, and I was not all that impressed. Um, so I didn't bother picking it up at the time. But yeah,
Um, and then I played some other shit, but like barely played. Baldur's Gate 3. Um,
you scratched the surface
I could
barely.
see how people fucking love that game. Like, just
Was this? Did you purchase it?
I didn't purchase it. I got a code from them.
Okay, so you reached out to
I
them.
emailed Larry. And
Okay.
I'm waiting for another code. But he literally said he gave me the last PC code, and I'm like,
Which is
you need.
always interesting when like companies say that because you're like, how do you get? Anyways, yeah, it's
Because
always interesting.
I asked for two, and he
Right.
had one, and
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
he's like I should be getting more. So I'm like
Oh,
I'll let
cool.
you know. I'm like, okay, well, like we'll see. My co-host I know would like to play it as well,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so I started it, and I've actually played
Okay.
like 4 hours of it, and
So you've not even started it yet.
well, I started it, and I play D&D. I've got D&D books on
Yeah.
the shelf behind me
Sure.
down there. I don't. Maybe you can make them out right where my hand is. There's a player's guide and all that stuff. I've played years
I
and
can
years of
vaguely see
D&D.
books there. Sure.
Um, holy fuck, that game.
It's a lot, right?
I can tell the quality though. I can tell how good it is. Like I could
Yeah.
like the voice acting, the characters, the fucking graphics, just the freedom of do whatever the fuck you want.
Oh
Like
yeah. Hey, I'm
you know,
gonna
like
murder this dude.
some
Okay.
yeah. I did murder. I murdered someone early in the game, and then I went and read what happened. They're like, "Yeah, well, you see them later on in the game if you didn't kill them, but it's like not very consequential. But there are
Sure.
consequential characters you can kill in the same regard."
Oh yeah.
Uh, but I'm like, "Holy shit, this game's pretty fucking intense! Like how deep it is, and like,
Yep.
and it's so D&D accurate with all the stuff, and just like the simplest thing, like you can push enemies.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you be able to push? You could push people. That's something you can do in reality. You don't need to be a superhero or a
No.
fucking magic
So if you're standing
user.
on an edge and
Just
I push you,
yeah,
you're gonna fall
like
off the edge and die.
pushing is a default action that literally should be in every video game, but it's not.
Yeah.
And in this game, there's like the push button. It's like and it shows you the range, and then you could like literally, like you just said, yeet guys off edges if
But they can also yeet you
Yep.
off edges. You gotta be real careful with it.
So I played that. I got real scared because I'm like, oh shit.
Uh-oh.
I'm
He
like-
got the tickle. He felt the tickle.
I'm like, holy
It's
shit.
the pull.
I installed it on my Ally. It runs really well on the Ally, I'll say as well.
Okay.
And the cross save shit worked because it's on fucking Steam, so yay.
Sure.
But fuck. Yeah, I could see how people have like
Get
fucking
sucked
like,
in, man.
people are like this.
You
with
feel
that
the
game.
pull.
Like,
Yeah.
there's definitely a level of quality there. Horizon Call of the Mountain. I also, before I got that last week, was like, because after I beat Spider-Man, I'm like, well, fuck, I don't know what to play now. I'm like,
First world problems.
I'm like,
I
well,
don't
maybe I
know
should
what
do
to
some fucking VR. I
play.
got this fancy VR here. And then I was kind of a little bit of like, I don't need a Quest 3. I don't need a Quest 3. I don't. It was a little bit of that. So go play some
Oh, I
PS.
see.
Go play
Gotcha.
some PSVR 2 and fucking don't.
Remind yourself that you already have like an awesome VR,
Yeah. So I went and played Horizon Call of the Mountain, which is great. Fuck, the
right?
game's gorgeous. Like it looks so good. Um, but man, there's a little. I feel like there's just too much fucking climbing. I'm like, ugh. Like I'm actually getting physically tired climbing in that game.
Yeah. I As somebody who has a weird relationship with heights
Yeah.
and
You
then like putting myself in a game where like I'm doing that kind of stuff, like I just no, I'm like I've watched some people like play it on like Twitch and stuff and I'm like, man, this game looks great, but for me it's too much. Like I
like the
know
combat's cool.
yeah, like so many aspects of that game look rad, but just the amount of
And then like
climbing that's
some of
in there
the
is like, oh,
scripted stuff is like insanely awesome looking. Like the intro of the game is like holy fuck! Like you're going down a river and you're seeing all the Horizon robots like up close and jumping over you and stuff like that. And
right.
it's like holy fuck! These creatures look so fucking amazing. But like that's like a scripted kind of section, right? And then you do get
Yeah.
into combat and stuff, and the combat's pretty good. I get a little tired of having to keep fucking pulling the fucking arrows out a little bit. It's like it's physical. It's like fucking working.
Yeah.
But there is a cool
Yeah.
mechanic where you can dodge and it kind of slows down time, like if you get like good timing and stuff. Um,
Yep.
it's definitely a competent game. I just there's too much climbing. Just fucking chill with the climbing. Maybe there's a setting to like auto climb, but it's like, oh my god, I just want to like explore a little more or fight some guys. I don't always want to be fucking climbing, and it's just like, oh, climbing fucking more. And I'm like, and then there's resistance in the triggers because they're kind of like dual sense triggers. They have that resistance in the PSVR 2 ones. And
Yep.
it's like my hands actually get tired. And they're meaning to do that, obviously. Like they want you to feel that way because it's like, oh, you're actually tired because you scaled fucking 50 feet in the air. And the puzzles
Yep.
are kind of neat. Like it's not bad. It's just like fuck.
Yeah.
I'm complaining because I'm getting tired playing the video game. Okay,
I
get off my
mean,
back.
like, well, but so you just touched on something like really big, though. This is the problem. This is the problem with VR, right? Like people think they want an all immersive experience, but then they play an all immersive experience for like an hour,
Yeah,
and they go, "Wow, that was fucking awesome! It was so mind blowing." But then when you think about like, "Hey, I'm gonna play a 20-hour video game like this," people are like, I don't know if I need that in my life. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like it's like so many of the VR experiences are super neat to check out and to experience, but when you're like, "Hey, let's play this for 30 hours," it's like a whole different situation where you're like, "Oh shit, like well, I don't know if I want to do that. I kind of just want to chill on the couch and relax. I don't want to have to put
yeah,
my fucking VR headset on, clear out all this space, and like I've had a long day of work. I don't want to have to, work out for an hour to play this damn video game. Like,
yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. But
And
like that's also the draw of VR is like, oh man, I get to be immersed to this universe and like you can actually like reach out and like grab arrows and like stab dudes and like sneak up on things and climb walls and like it's so neat. It's
and then I saw, and then I was like, oh, I've got cool VR at home. I don't really need Quest 3. You know that meme on the internet. You've got Quest
yeah.
3 at home. You know. And then of course I was at
Yeah.
my buddy's visited my buddy today, and then he's like, "Hey man, check out my Quest 3." I'm like, "Oh, you fucking guy." So
So you're buying a Quest 3, huh?
I don't know. I tried it on, and
You're an idiot.
the full color pass-through is pretty cool.
Oh
And I saw some
god.
videos of how good it is with the wireless streaming, and they're like, guys, like, "Hey, look, you could play fucking Alex now in like high def. It looks amazing on this headset." I'm like, "Fuck."
That's funny.
Anyway, I've resisted the urge. Maybe it'll go on sale. I've been keeping an eye out to see if I find some sucker who bought it and got like sick immediately and can't return it. So I might luck out in that regard.
Yeah.
And then Lords of the Fallen was added to our Epic account, and I tried. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm like not too deep in anything. I'm gonna try Lords of the Fallen. Um, Lords of the Fallen did not want me to play Lords of the Fallen.
That's what
If I was
heard.
anyone else on the fucking planet, they would have fucking refunded this game immediately. Obviously, I didn't pay for it. We got it from Epic. So
Right.
um, I install it. I go to launch it. Fucking error. Okay, that's weird. I look up on the internet and it says, "Oh, there's your game didn't fully download, or there's a problem with the files." So I verify the files. Oh,
Yeah.
everything's fucking fine. Hit play, same thing. Fuck. Okay, sweet, awesome. Like, what the fuck? So I
Nice.
uninstall it and then I reinstall it. Oh, okay, I can launch it. I get in,
Oh.
cutscene, character creator. Oh, here's the intro cutscene. Here's more intro cutscene. Oh, we're going to the game. Crash the desktop.
Oh.
Okay, let's try this again. Take two. So this is after like 2 failed attempts starting the game. An uninstall, a reinstall.
Yep.
A launch past character creator. So what's that? 1, 2, 3. This is 4th time trying to play the game, essentially.
Yep.
Crash at getting into the game. Same thing. Crash again. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, I'm going to make a fucking girl, a different character. I make a different character. I get in the game. I'm stuck in the fucking ground.
Oh.
I put the clip
Well,
on
at least it didn't
Discord.
crash, right?
Like, I could not progress. My character was in the floor and was just stuck.
Yeah, you posted the
Okay,
video on
quit,
our Discord.
relaunch the game. Same
Right.
fucking thing. God damn it. Delete the character, create another character, get in. Oh, okay, fuck. 7th time, I finally am in the fucking game, playing the game. Like, holy
Right.
shit.
Yeah,
That
I
was
heard that,
half an
like,
hour.
I heard that some
I
people.
can't
I mean, that
hear you.
was like some of the complaints that I'd heard
No,
was
I
like
turned
the
my
the
headset
PC
down
version,
with all my hand,
especially
with all my
was
hand
was
waving.
rough.
I turned my headset down somehow.
Um, yeah, and like I've heard that it's a lot better on console. Like that seems to be more of a PC problem, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I had updated drivers, and I don't know if there
Yeah.
was a patch today. There may have been a patch today.
There was a big patch. There's actually been 2 patches since the game came out already. I was
Well, the game came out, what, last week or the week before? It's been out for a bit.
Yeah, we were unfortunately waiting to get access to it. And we finally got it. So like I suspected we were gonna get access to it, and then we finally got access to it today. So I haven't had a chance to, like, with the way my life has gone recently, I
Yesterday.
haven't even had a chance to install it. But reading some of the reviews, they were saying like, yeah, like technologically, especially at launch, it was real rough.
Yeah,
It
I
has
think I've
had a couple patches. Apparently, like a big patch that came out very recent was apparently helping
I want to say
make some
yesterday or
changes.
today was a big performance patch.
Yeah, which apparently, and then of course, I just saw today that AMD, I know obviously you're on Nvidia, but AMD released like a new set of drivers with support for Lords of the Fallen as
Oh yeah,
well.
the very
So
first time. So let's make that 8 times trying to play the game. The very first time it said, "Hey, you need to update your drivers, or don't even fucking bother." Like it literally
Right.
forced me to update my drivers.
yeah, hey, these are the drivers that actually support the game.
So I
Yeah.
had the newest
No,
fucking drivers, so that wasn't the
I
issue.
I get really frustrated because like,
I spent 40 minutes, dude.
yeah, no, it's like,
40
hey man,
minutes.
I've been there. I mean, like, yes, this is the downside of PC gaming, right? Like this is the thing is like
Yeah,
we spend
it's not
thousands of
often.
dollars to have the quote unquote best experience, but that also means that sometimes you have the absolute worst experience, and it's and this is of course this is where Greg Miller steps in and he makes fun of us all because your PC game whatever,
PC, Clippy, do your
but
taxes.
but yeah, I mean, it sucks when it happens. It fucking sucks, and I definitely hate it. And it always sucks the worst for the people that start off like right away. And this is the most
Oh yeah,
frustrating
at
thing
at
when
launch,
like
right? And then
you're the one that spent the money on launch day. You bought the game at full
you're most
price.
excited.
You're exactly, and now the game has, like you said, like it's actively trying to make you not want to play it. And so many people are gonna throw their hands in the air and be like, "Fuck this! Like I don't need this shit in my life."
Yeah.
There's so many other things that are coming out right now. Like if you're gonna launch a game like that, and you're not gonna launch it in a position of power where it's like very well, optimized and it is running well, like you obviously know, like if the fact that you have a patch so soon to launch that's like helping we're a week after
Yeah,
launch and you're like addressing performance issues and shit.
in a massive
Maybe
factor.
like should we have maybe pushed this game a little further? Is this a situation where you wanted to get it out in time for Halloween because it's kind of a horror themed game? Like
Yeah,
it's just like, but the thing is that these companies don't seem to understand is like, especially this year and especially right now, there's so many good fucking games that have been coming out recently,
with no
and you
issues.
have one opportunity to wow players. And if you download a game and it is crap and it is crashing and it is doing all this nonsense, players are gonna fucking, you had your chance. They're gonna uninstall it. They're gonna get a refund, and they're gonna, as far as they're concerned,
They're
your
done.
fucking game is dead to them. Now they're gonna tell all their friends that this thing's a piece of shit and they shouldn't invest in it. So now not only have you hurt yourself by like getting a sale refunded, now you've pissed a bunch of people off and probably lost yourself 5 or 6 other sales because that person is going to tell those people, oh man,
Yeah.
people are going to be like, oh dude, Lords of the Fallen looks sick. I love the Souls games. And they're going to be like, oh dude, I bought it and here's my experience and it's total crap. And it's like, how are you a company not like thinking about the long game? You're doing way more harm than good by not pushing your game back when it doesn't fucking work and it's not ready for launch
Yeah,
yet.
it's
Especially on PC. Like it's one thing, like this is a situation where I know people want the PC to releases to come out day and date,
mhm.
and I know why that's a thing that happens, and like I get it. But also, I would way rather have a game that launches 2 months later on PC that doesn't fucking break as soon as you look at it the wrong way,
And
if that
has all the
means
and
that
has
that's
all
what's going to
those early
happen,
patches
right?
in
Like
it
if you're
already.
going to release that game on console and it's going to be a somewhat decent experience, but then the PC port is a fucking hot mess, like fucking postpone that PC port, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Don't launch like that. You're just going
I
to piss a
haven't been
bunch of people
reading
off.
other people's experiences, but clearly you've seen that it's been pretty bad.
I've like I said, there was a few reviews that they were like, love the game, had so much fun with it. It's incredibly hard. It's a great Souls-like. The combat is incredible. It's a horrible performance nightmare, and the technical issues are horrible, and it keeps crashing. Like, you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
said, like it was
The
when you were
technical
like,
issues
yeah,
were
I've got the
just trying to play the game.
totally.
So
It's
like
unacceptable.
if I was someone where like this was my 1 hour to play a night because I got 3 kids or whatever my reasons for not having a lot of time to play, I
Yeah.
would have been I would have hit on install and played. I finally got in and I played for like an hour.
Yeah.
After all that kerfuffle that I'm not the normal person, so obviously I'm not going to just give up and quit.
Sure.
But man, it was super frustrating. And then when I got in the game, holy fuck, this game, it's like they took a piece of rice paper and like put it over fucking Dark Souls 2 or 3 and just like
Yeah.
they just traced the Souls game and made their own. Like there is a little different of a mechanic with the little lantern that you have and ripping souls out of enemies.
Yep.
I don't remember what they call that, but it's all right. I
Also,
don't.
like when you die, like when you essentially end up dead,
Yeah, I haven't.
you
died
also
yet.
end up okay, yeah. So there's like a whole mechanic, right? Like there's essentially 2 worlds in that game.
Yes, and you
So
transport.
like
That is kind of neat.
yeah. So when you like, but that's the thing is like when you quote unquote die, you
Mhm.
end up in the umbral,
Yeah,
right? So when you end up in a situation where like you're actually dead, like so when you're walking around with your lamp,
you can
you get
teleport into
glimpses
that
in the
world.
umbral, right? Or you can directly
Yeah,
jump
you
in.
see hidden stuff in the world, and you can actually transport into it. Kind of like
Yeah,
it's like another world in the same world. Like
totally.
the
And then when
backside of
you
it.
also die, you get transported to the umbral as kind of a second chance, if you will. So if you're like
Ah,
fighting a boss and he takes you down to your health, you'll end up in the umbral fighting them. You essentially continue the fight, but you're in the umbral,
huh.
which has so it's like so it is. Obviously, like you said, you haven't died yet. Like, so there is, it seems like there is some other mechanics, but
Yeah.
yes, I could understand at first glance how you could absolutely feel like that, right? So it
Yeah,
does sound
well,
like
like
they
there's a big
did
portion
try some stuff,
in the
but
first area. There's a big section where you there's certain points where you can enter the umbral,
yeah,
and then it's like because the normal world the area was blocked, and
yeah.
then I went into the umbral, and then those paths weren't blocked, and then I cleared the thing that it let me open the door, and then I went back into the normal world, and that was neat. Like it was neat.
Mhm.
I just think it moves a little loose. I like I don't know. It definitely feels like a Souls like. They've been copying
Sure.
the Souls like formula in terms of the combat for the most part. Um, but the movement felt a little loose, and I was just like, I don't
So
know.
this you're funny when it comes to the Souls games because you're very specific. You only play you only like the Souls games, and like I wonder if
Well,
it
no, I
has to
like.
do
Well,
with
I guess Sekiro's a Souls game, and Bloodborne's still a Souls game, but they feel a little
they're all made
different.
by From. That's my point, right?
Yeah,
Like you generally have like, and I don't know, like and like I dabble in a whole bunch of them,
yeah.
but like it seems like for you, from what I've kind of gathered
Well,
over
because
the years,
The Jedi games are Souls likes too.
ish, not very, very, very light.
Yeah,
But like for you, it's like that particular style of game almost has to have a specific feel, otherwise you don't like it.
I like a little bit of weight in the character. I don't like the character being. It just feels like he's skidding around a little bit, like on ice, and I don't like that. That doesn't
Hmm.
feel good in any
I haven't
game.
played it yet, so I can't say
Like
like
that
whether
doesn't
or
feel
not I
good.
like
I don't think it's
the
that bad, but it just
because like I'm
felt.
not gonna lie, the original Lords of the Fallen, I way prefer the way that that character feels
Yeah,
when he's running
I don't.
around
I
than in the
played that one, but
Souls
I don't
games.
remember it.
Yeah.
I never got
One of
into
the
it.
things that I liked about the original Lords of the Fallen is that it was not animation priority. So like if I was in the middle of if I did make a poor choice on an attack,
Hmm.
I could cancel out of that with a roll. I don't know if this one is like that or not,
Yeah, I think you can do that in this one.
which like that to me just makes the cuz like as I've learned
But
as a Souls
Elden
player,
Ring's like that. You can cancel out anything with a roll.
oh no, no, Elden Ring you have to finish the move. It's animation priority.
I feel like they loosen that up a little bit.
Maybe they loosened it up a little bit, but it's still very much a thing. Like if I'm mid swing and like that enemy decides to change its mind, I have to finish that swing before I can do anything, right? Which like for me, I tend to sometimes make poor choices with when I'm going to attack,
Yeah.
and so to be able to like, oh shit, I fucked up. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here now. So many times when I'm playing those Souls games, it's like, you can't because I have to finish my swing or I have to finish
Yeah.
my attack. So like
I
that to me feels better. But again, I haven't played this particular one yet, so I can't say.
I
But
will say, even after the big fucking challenge of getting in the game, I don't hate it,
yeah,
but it's like I'm like, oh, it's a fucking Souls game. It makes me want to go back and play more Liza P. Is actually that's what playing this game is like. Okay,
interesting.
you know what? I need to go play more Liza P. That one got higher ratings. It was generally more enjoyed by people than this one. I'm like,
Yeah,
this is like I fucking copied over your shoulder and made a Souls like.
yeah.
And maybe
But I
did a
mean,
few
like that was exactly the complaint that the first one had.
and maybe did a few things better, but it's like just
Yeah,
from the environment, the graphics, the world, the enemies. I'm like, yeah, this is a fucking Souls game. Like
I've heard, and again, like I've heard when this game is firing on all cylinders, it looks fucking incredible.
Oh, it
though.
doesn't look bad at all. The game looks awesome. Like even in the
Yeah,
start, the game looks awesome.
yeah.
But it's like it's a known quantity. It's like it's the same dark and dreary and fucking evil and it's the same. It's the same thing. We've seen it before. It's just a different coat.
You
of
know
paint.
what?
Whereas
I
Liza
feel
P is like it's actually different.
Yeah, it's
So
got
like
some interesting things going
yeah,
on.
so like
There's
I
a
was
few
just
things
like,
that I don't love about Liza P either.
yeah, I need to play more of it because I didn't play a lot of that either. So like I didn't write
Yeah.
that off. I just touched and scratched the surface, right?
The thing that I always I should say one of the things that always frustrates me about the games like the Souls and like, even Elden Ring and stuff. I would love for like from to make one of those games, and I know why they do the thing that they do, blah blah blah, but I would love either them or somebody to make a game similar to that, kind of like Jedi did, but give it a fucking real story. That's the thing that drives me nuts about like the Souls games is like they always like,
Hmm.
there's like sure they do like storytelling in the world and
Yeah.
on all this and that, like even Bloodborne and stuff, right? But as far as like an actual fucking story with like cool cutscenes and like a
Yeah. There's
reason for
not a lot
doing
of
what you're
that.
doing, I would fucking love that. And that was one of the things that the original Lords of the Fallen was actually doing.
Yeah,
You showed up and
there's
there was
lots
an
of cutscenes and scenes
actual
like cool.
story
There's
composition.
lots of cutscenes in this at the start,
Right.
and there's a
And like it
story
sounds
that
like there's
kind of
actually a
makes
pretty
sense.
interesting story from what I've like heard or whatever.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing that the Lords of the Fallen games kind of, that's kind of what sucked me in to that original Lords of the Fallen and why it's still probably the game that I've played the most of in a Souls game is cuz it actually had a story that I was
Hmm.
actually like I had a reason
Yeah,
for.
like that's my like I loved Elden Ring, but that's my least favorite thing. It's like it would have been cool if there was a big overarching kind of story and more
And like
cutscenes and stuff.
again, like I get like there's a purpose, like what you're kind of do, you're trying to get the Elden Ring, like blah blah blah, but like that's very much a nebulous like sort of they
Yeah.
drop you in the world and it's kind of up to you to kind of like, oh, I don't know, I like, oh look, I'm
The
sort of
story is
piecing
the
a bit of the
adventure.
story, and then I killed the dudes and now that's kind of it. But
Yeah.
like I would love for there to actually be like a story and composition and like and like they don't seem to want to do that because like none of their games for the past 15 years
Sekiro has more
have done
storytelling
that.
than a lot of, I would
A
say.
little bit, but even a lot of it is still very much it's definitely the closest they've done,
There's
which I
definitely more. There's
appreciate.
definitely lots of story. There's more story, I'd say, in Sekiro than probably any of the Souls.
Oh,
Though
absolutely.
the Souls games have tons of story, it's
No,
just
no, it's
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 hidden in items and bosses and quests. Like it's not
it's not.
presented in like fancy rendered cutscenes. Yeah,
Yeah, and a lot of it's not necessarily like it's like
you
I
have
said,
to
it's
go
more
looking for it.
world building and lore. It's
Yeah,
not
you
specifically like
if you're
a
not looking
story for
for it,
your
all it is
character.
just combat and the gameplay loop,
Yeah. So
which
so
can
anyways,
just
yeah. Well,
yeah.
let's
I'll play more if it lets me. But like I said, when
fair.
I played like an hour and a half after it finally fucking
Yeah,
uh, started working, I'm like, oh yeah, this seems competent. But then it
sure.
was just like the flavor was like, I know this is like comfort food. Like
Sure.
I am like, actually, this just made me go, oh man, you know what? I really need to go back to Liza P, which I stopped playing because I got the Spider-Man review code, right?
Right.
Um, so that's what
Yeah.
that's it accomplished that.
Fair.
And like I
Yeah.
said, fuck, if anyone else had those problems, they probably would have fucking ran away
Oh,
straight
hey
up.
man, I'm not gonna lie. Like if I run into those types of problems when I try to play it, I don't know that I will bother. You know what I mean? Like,
I was just being persistent.
yeah. No, for sure. And I mean, like, I tend to be the same way. So here's hoping I have a better experience.
Shall we get into some news, Dane?
Let's get into some news and stuff.
News. Microsoft has officially, finally, completed its acquisition of Activision Blizzard. 50,000 years later. Six
So
console
many years
cycles
later,
later.
good lord.
What's that?
So many years later.
The story
Oh,
from VGC by Tom Ivan. The Xbox maker now owns franchises including Call of Duty, Warcraft, and Candy Crush. Activision Blizzard King. In completing the game industry's biggest deal ever, the Xbox maker has now taken ownership of major console PC franchises including Call of Duty, Warcraft, and Diablo. It also established major presence in mobile gaming with the addition of Candy Crush maker King. Other developers joining Xbox game studios include Infinity Ward, Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games, Treyarch, Toys for Bob, Beanox, and High Moon Studios. Makers of awesome Transformers games. Or War for Cybertron. Pretty fucking dope game.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Man,
finally
I would love
happened.
to at least see re-releases of
Like,
those.
oh my god. Maybe we'll actually start seeing some of those old classics. Obviously, that shit's going to take time.
Dare to
And
dream.
I will say our next story is related to this. It's kind of a positive story. With this purchase, Kotick is out. He's only sticking around to the end of the year, so let's be honest, he's maybe around for another
He
month and a half.
gone. Thank God.
Because let's be honest, he did like most executives. He's probably off for all of December, fucking being a disgusting executive that has too much money. The only negative of him leaving is he's gonna leave disgustingly rich.
That was always going to be the case, though.
Something like almost $500 million. Like,
I mean, he's already a billionaire, right? So it's not a surprise.
Human piece of garbage.
Oh yeah, he's walking away very
good riddance.
There's a big reason why he did this deal, right? He walks away like laughing. So
yeah, and I guess a lot of board members do and shareholders do, but you know, I'd say one thing. It just seems like this has just been like a breath of like relief. I feel like from anyone in the Activision Blizzard camp. It's just kind of like the vibe I've gotten.
Yeah,
it's like a new unknown frontier. Microsoft's taking over. Microsoft loves gamers and is like trying to do right by gamers. Activision was let's grind you to fucking bone and just put out the same shit over and over and over again. You know?
My only concern, and I mean we've talked about this before, but my only concern about a deal like this that has now obviously gone through is like anytime you have something like this happen, you know, everybody seems to forget that like companies like Microsoft, you know, they could get a new CEO and he could decide like, man, I'm sick and tired of seeing our games division do fuck all. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to jettison it. I want to become more of this. I'm going to take the company in a different direction.
Yeah.
And now what? And now are you going to, you know, like they're either deciding to try to spin it off by itself or like, you know what I mean? And so anytime you start amalgamating more and more and more game publishers and more gaming libraries and IP and everything else in one place like that.
Yeah. You also have to make more money.
When and if that thing fails, you know, what happens to all of that? You know what I mean?
Fails monumentally?
Sure, but it can also really fuck shit up, right? You know, you see what happened with like THQ when they actually went down. You know, and the way their IP got spread all over the place, and then there's big questions about who even owns some of that shit.
And then Embracer went and picked up a lot of the pieces and did the same fucking thing.
Right. So it's like, you know, and like, so it's just, it sucks because like that's my only, you know, like that's my big concern with something like this. You know, everybody's like, oh, Microsoft, they're a big company, and like Phil Spencer's awesome, and like they're really being, you know, they're doing great things over there, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, let's be honest, Phil's not going to be there forever.
No.
You know, at some point he's going to be like, okay, cool. I'm either going to move on to something else or I'm going to get promoted elsewhere in Microsoft.
Well,
and like,
let's not forget, there's also been whispers and rumblings lately of like, okay, when are we like actually going to be like taking over this video game business? Like, this is cool and all that we're doing okay, but we're Microsoft. We don't do okay. We do,
you know, and of course, like a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're playing the long game, blah blah blah, right? But like I said, it's that's always the concern. Is that,
that's what you're saying. Like one day they may,
you know, of bad revenues. For now, the shareholders are putting the feet to the fire of the CEO, going like, look, you know, the rest of our company, we're doing great, but we got this Xbox division that's fucking bringing us down. It costs our, you know, it's causing our share price to drop. It's costing us money. And that's, you know, and now suddenly the CEO's got to go back and be like, okay, well, you know, depending on the type of CEO you have. And obviously right now, he seems like he's got Phil and the Xbox divisions back, and they're playing the long game, and that seems like it's working out, and so on and so forth. But yeah, at some point, you know, like what happens if he changes, you know, Microsoft changes hands, they get a different CEO, you know, because like, let's be honest, a lot of companies, you know, especially that are going to be run by people of a certain age, they maybe don't understand video games, or they maybe don't give a shit about video games, or they maybe downright don't like video games.
That he's not totally up and up.
No, but he's also very much like on board with like what's going on, and he understands that they're playing a long game, and he seems to, him and Phil seem to have a pretty good rapport and so on and so forth, right? So it seems like it's working out. But it's just anytime, it's like I'll use Disney as a perfect example. There's rumors that the shareholders were pushing Disney
Mm-hmm.
to possibly sell because shit wasn't going well. There was rumors like 6 months ago when shit was going down and their share price was, tanking and so on and so forth. And there was the questions that were going around on Bloomberg and during like the business news was like, is Disney going to get sold to Apple? And it's like, so it's like that's all it sometimes takes, right, for something like this to kind of. So it's like, yeah. So Microsoft seems like a great fit, and when people are excited, and hopefully we're going to see a new whatever favorite game that they came out with. But it always just makes me nervous seeing all of these stuff, amalgamated under a single entity like this. But that said, I'm glad to see fucking Bobby Kotick gone because
Yeah.
that should have happened fucking 20 years ago in the industry. So
Yeah, that's the best thing about this. I will say,
so
man, the fucking fanboys on the internet. Oh my god.
I also will say too, being perfectly honest, it's a done deal, but it's not 100% done either. Like the FTC has said that they're going to try and sue them and blah blah blah. I'm sure. I'm like about 90% sure that that's going to result in absolutely nothing. But there's like that small 10% chance that, like, who knows? Maybe they will actually bring a case that doesn't totally suck ass. And, if that happens, God knows how that would. That's never happened before. But anything is possible in this day and age, right? So we'll see what all transpires there as well.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. It's just terrible take, man. Fucking fanboys are the worst. Consumers won today. Microsoft's Activision Blizzard merger is positive for consumer. You fucking kidding me? Like, how could you be happy for like a giant fucking company to swallow up more companies? Like, you're such a fucking clueless idiot. Like, no, consumers didn't win. Fucking Wall Street won, and big business won. Consumers didn't win shit. Like you were already saying, the conglomeration of shrinking of all these companies doesn't necessarily make things better. So anyway, what a fucking idiot!
And
that's just
don't get me wrong,
fucking fanboy.
And like, don't get me wrong. On one hand, this is like, from a personal perspective, like, yeah, this is great. All these games are now going to come to Game Pass, and like that's cool.
And maybe some classics will be revitalized, which Activision had no fucking interest in doing anything besides COD, Blizzard, or Diablo and Overwatch.
Right.
So like, that's really all they distilled down to. Like that's all they've been doing.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like they've thrown all risk out the fucking window. It's kind of funny though, like when I see that we bought Activision, and then to see like the Sekiro character in there, like he's some big tent pole, like fucking Activision title. Like, what are you
people love that game.
I know,
and they own that IP.
It's an awesome game, but it's not like it's like, okay, Activision. It's a From game. It's like it's not an it's technically an Activision game,
but Activision owns that IP.
Yeah, but I think it's funny because they only made one, and there's been no talk of a sequel, and it's like, well, maybe hopefully we'll get one, but it's like
maybe. But I mean, we've been talking about a sequel for Bloodborne for how many years at this point?
Oh god. Well, From can only do so much. What do they do? Elden Ring and Armored Core recently, and then they're going back to Elden Ring.
Yeah, I mean, we got the Elden Ring DLC, but it sounds like they've got at least 2 teams there. So we're not, or maybe more. I'm not sure, but we know at least one team is working on Elden Ring DLC.
Yeah,
and they haven't announced obviously another full game after.
Yeah, it's
although
it's going to be a sequel to Elden Ring.
Didn't they make an announcement that they were working on something with Microsoft?
No, I don't think so.
Am I crazy for remembering that?
Yeah, you're crazy. I'm moving on.
Okay.
This next story from Tom's Hardware, by Anton Shilov. Best Buy quits physical media business. No more Blu-rays. No more DVDs. No more plastic junk. as early as the first quarter of 2024. This move symbolizes a significant shift in consumer behavior, steering away from physical media ownership towards a landscape dominated by digital formats and streaming platforms. The transition, aligning with broader industry tendencies, is slated to commence as early as first quarter of 2024. I can't say this is a surprise. The DVD Blu-ray section in a Best Buy anyway is distilled to one like fucking rack.
Well, yeah, it's weird. Like our Best Buy here, you know, I used to love, like, honestly, like, especially like Christmas time and other times a year, like I used to love going in there and like browsing through, like I still like physical media. I know people, scoff and whatever, but like I do appreciate, there's nothing better than, you know, wanting to watch a movie that you can't, that isn't available on streaming anywhere, and you're like, oh, it's fine, I've got it, and you pull out the disc and you can still watch it.
But
it's not a big deal, right?
yeah,
And I love that.
It's a lot of stuff is on streaming now. It's just on one of 100
Dude,
platforms.
it's so amazing. Like, dude, there's so much shit that is just not available anywhere on any streaming service, though. That's the thing.
What
like,
shit? Like
lots of stuff.
Old stuff,
like
though,
yes,
right?
some of the older stuff, some of the, like there's definitely film or stuff that ends up on one streaming platform and then goes away but doesn't end up on another one, and like it's just, there's lots of times where I've like looked through,
Or what the streaming platforms are doing now, they're just erasing stuff for fucking tax write-offs.
because they don't want to pay their fucking people, and they don't want to pay residuals. They're like, so, oh yeah, we're just not gonna we're not gonna allow that to stream anywhere because we don't want to pay people. It's fucked. That's like Disney. They pulled Willow off of their, even though it was doing great. It was one of their best. It was one of their best shows on streaming, but they pulled it because they didn't want to pay residuals to the people. Like, because it was like, you're just like, what the fuck? So like just shit like that, right? But like there was some, there's a few like romantic comedies and stuff. One of them, like, my wife really likes. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but like it's not available on any streaming platforms anywhere by far. Like I ended up getting her like the DVD or whatever, I managed to find online or whatever for her. But like just, it's stuff like that, right? But like I understand why this is a move that's happening, but I think it always just sucks, like, because then at that point, those were, in my opinion, those were always kind of a bit of the, you're in Best Buy and you're like standing in line and you look over and you're like, oh shit, that like new movie that I love is like on sale right now. I may as well, like, I should grab that while I'm here. Like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, and so it's like, or for example, at Christmas time, you're like, oh man, I need something to like to, for like a stocking stuffer or something like that. Like shit like that was great for that. I'm like, hey, I picked up your favorite movie that you liked. And, hey, I've got it on the new, HD 4K Blu-ray or something like that. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. It sucks that like the only way to get this stuff is going to be more or less to order it online somewhere. Because like, especially here in Canada, like, let's be honest, like,
Amazon and Walmart.
Right, and there's rumors that because Best Buy is pulling their physical media, that Walmart, there's a rumor that Walmart might pull theirs starting next year. So like, if those are the two kind of locations that are going to do it, like where else are you going to be able to, outside of like ordering online somewhere, who's going to offer that?
I haven't bought a physical movie in a retail store in years. And I think the last one I actually bought was the Transformers like 4K 35 anniversary fucking Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like I spent in DVD early Blu-ray days, I spent hundreds if not thousands of dollars on movies. I had like a bookcases of movies. Half of them I maybe watched once. Some of them I didn't even open. And I literally just liquidated them all years ago because it's like, I don't need any of this shit. I had you name the classics, comedies, action movies, you fucking name it. I had it on disc.
Sure.
And then it's just like, it's just wasting space and I don't fucking need it. And yeah,
it's both,
I can't
there's both a good problem and a bad problem, right? Because like on one hand, you're not wrong.
I can't
But then, like,
watch.
what ends up happening is they re-release stuff on better quality,
Yeah.
and so then you're like, oh well, shit, I want to sell the
You never
Blu-ray and I
have the
want to buy the
best
4K
quality
Blu-ray.
version. You're constantly stuck in a loop of your version gets outdated and
But there's also the situations that arise where shit gets released and then never gets another release.
yeah, you know what? If I watch
You
a
know,
movie once in the theater and I never have to ever watch it again, I'm not going to die. I don't need to own it. I don't need to stream it. Life carries on. I got the entertainment out of it. I don't need to pay $40 to have it on a plastic disc to maybe watch it again. It's just something I've come to grips with movies, especially when movies are not my go-to time killer. Like
yeah.
my go-to time killer when I have time, if me and the wife aren't watching something on streaming, which is always something new, we never rewatch anything because our times are already limited. To have the luxury, like I'm not in fucking high school and I'm not a fucking in my 20s and have a lot of disposable time where I'm literally like I'm not rewatching Game of fucking Thrones. Like I don't have that luxury. I'm gonna spend that time consuming something new, you know. So
Man,
I'm sure I'm not going to go back and watch the movie that I own for the 10th time because that could have been a new season of some new thing people are actually watching and talking about today.
Oh man,
The rewatching of stuff.
So not that.
The
I'm
rewatching
so not
of
like
stuff
that.
in this house will only ever be if it's like in the background making dinner. When it's like comfort food of something we've already seen and it happens to be on. But it's not like I don't have to go back and do a fucking Office marathon ever. Whereas some people, that's their existence, or a Seinfeld fucking rewatch. You know, it's like, okay, that's great. You enjoy it. That's awesome. You do you. It's the shit's for the most part, most of the quality stuff or the best stuff or the culture stone pop culture, fucking high end stuff that's highly regarded is available somewhere, and it's available at a click of a button. And if you really want to watch it, you can watch it and pay for it. And it's like, so I'm not too hard done by. Me personally. I've gotten over physical media a long time ago, but it sucks. I understand.
There's movies that I've watched literally
it,
dozens of times. Probably hundreds of times.
Just for
honestly.
me, just because I've had such a huge collection that I sunk thousands of dollars in, I'm like, that's just a waste of money. I already did that once. I'm not doing it again. Like,
yeah, and I'm not. I can't argue your point to a degree. I think it's a bummer, and I also think like some of that stuff, because like I said, my single biggest issue with streaming is the fact that it's like a fucking flowing all the time where oh hey cool that's streaming and then it's fucking gone and then like I think I can watch it over here
not fucking
and then it's gone and like
if one of your favorite things isn't one of the $1 billion makers and it's a niche cult hit or something, you're under the threat of it disappearing any day, anytime.
Yeah,
and then it's absolutely. Like, oh, and I couldn't buy that thing and now it's just fucking gone.
Right.
Like, what's that show? There's some show on fucking Netflix I didn't get to finish, which I liked. That cartoon. Fuck. Something
specific.
Space? Final Space? I think that's what it was called.
I don't know.
It was fucking great. Yeah, Final Space. They just deleted it. It's fucking gone. You can't watch it. They even took it away from people who bought it digitally, apparently.
What?
Yeah, like... Apparently, it's just fucking gone.
So the only way to watch it is literally to watch it pirated.
Unless you somehow magically have it physical, but I don't know if it ever came physical.
Yeah.
But it's fucking gone from Netflix.
Right. And so this is my point, right? It's like, at least if you have it on a physical, and again, like how often does this happen? Not that often, but I guess it's the point is that it's something that somebody can't take away, right?
Yeah. No.
And so it sucks that because the thing is that worries me is that when you take away a lot of places where people purchase stuff like that, then what ends up happening is that these companies start to, we're not even going to bother making a physical version of that anymore. Because if people aren't able to kind of wander into their Best Buy or into their Walmarts or into their superstores or whatever, and grab a few movies and stuff, they're not going to bother. Are they going to go to a... Because, like, let's be honest, if like the only place that I can think of off the top of my head to purchase, like, say, movies would be Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like, so you mean to tell me that there's, again, like there might be other places that I'm sure if I was to start Googling, I would find out that there's possibly other websites or whatever that would sell me physical media. But my point is that now you've essentially given Amazon the entirety of, like, okay, cool. Now you're the gatekeepers of any sorts of physical media because nobody else wants to fucking deal with it. That sucks. That really sucks. I don't like it. And I think that I think that there's a few things that us as human beings do to seem like they're a good idea, and later on we realize, man, that was fucking stupid. Giving away all of our fucking information for free over the last 20 years sure seemed like a great idea at the time.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It's
I get
proving to
like
be
my
pretty
Android
bad.
phone and my operating system for so cheap and or free. This is great. All of these programs are free and blah blah blah. And now we're like, fuck, that was fucking stupid. Man, I sure wish I could buy a TV that wasn't spying on me all the fucking time. Boy, I sure wish I could use a cell phone that wasn't spying on me all the time. And like, but that was a decision that got made and we all decided we were okay with it. And now it's like, well, it's not like we can change it now. And I just worry that this is a little bit of a similar situation where, like, yeah, streaming and all of these services seem like such a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And then at some point down the road, we're all going to like turn to each other and be like, what the fuck? Man, this streaming shit, what a fucking mess is this now? Sure would be nice if we could have just pick up a few things on disc and I know I fucking got it and I never have to worry about it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
because that's the thing is we're totally getting to a spot now where there's
Yeah. It's
with these
so
streaming
annoying. And fuck
services,
Netflix.
they're all fluid.
You know what,
I never know
Brian-
where I can find shit.
Brian Altano had a great tweet the other day where he was like, man, he's like, I don't know. He's like, I could take a lot of shit, or I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, I can take a lot, but man, paying $260 a year for Netflix, he's like, I don't know if I could take that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like when you put it in that regard, I was like, holy shit, it is like over $200 a year for Netflix. It's like, holy shit. And I was like, really questioning.
Yeah,
it,
but I
like,
mean, it's not just Netflix. Now you got to add in your what do you pay for your
Disney
this
Plus.
subscription? What do you pay for that? Like what do you pay for your cable? Like it's all like, especially when you take it into the, oh, it's not $12 a month. It's
yeah, see, this
much
is
per
where
year,
it's
right?
like, hey, monopolies suck, and I hate monopolies. But then it's like, I also hate fucking 50 streaming services and want a monopoly in with a streaming service.
I know.
And that was cable, but then cable didn't pay enough money to the fucking creators. So then the creators went and said, okay, we're just going to fucking go over top of you. And then here we are in this fucking wonderful world we live in today.
Yeah, we kind of fucked ourselves. Anyways, moving on.
I don't know if I care to talk about the next two stories, to be honest.
Yeah, I really don't.
Easy peasy. That brings us to our next story, and not much of a story, and I could have brought it up during the review. Insomniac confirms Spider-Man 2 is getting New Game Plus and Mission Replay after launch before the end of the year. This is from
Oh, that's cool.
This is from Matt Wales, Eurogamer. It's not there now, so I'd say that's the one problem is like after platinuming the game, they're really well. The game's awesome, so the point is playing an awesome game, but like,
Sure.
you can't do anything but the crimes. Like, there's nothing to do.
Right. So this way, at least they'll kind of allow you to like.
So
replay
like, if we got a
missions
New
and
Game
stuff.
Plus, at least you can go through the whole campaign again with all your power ups and all your strength, and
That's cool. Right on.
yeah, the level cap's 60, by the way, if you were wondering.
I'm excited.
PlayStation has patented a controller that stores and charges wireless earbuds. This is from VGC at Tom Ivan. The company recently announced its first wireless earbuds, the Pulse Explorer, recently, which was like at the same time as the Portal, right? So when they showed those off with the lossless fucking nonsense shit.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about already shitty battery life PlayStation controller giving what
Well, they'd
shit
have to put a way bigger battery in that thing.
giving what shit life it has to the fucking earbuds. Like, I'm like, the controller's already terrible. That you have these
Yeah.
life-sucking earbuds in it. And I'm like, okay. I'm like,
If Sony, honestly, like I'm a
it's
little
just
shocked.
it's just a
Like
weird patent. I don't know if this will actually come to fruition. It doesn't make a
I
lot of sense.
I feel like if Sony is going to release this supposed PlayStation Pro
Mm-hmm.
down the road, they would be really, really smart. If they knew, you know, if they knew what was up, they would also announce at this alongside of it a new controller with twice the battery life
I
of the
want a fucking
existing controller.
replaceable battery, like or the ability. I want it to be like the fucking Xbox controller. Let me use my Panasonic and Loop batteries. The thing fucking lasts 1,000 years, and I can replace batteries. Like,
Hey,
come on,
I'd be fine with that as well. I mean, part of the problem there is that a lot of people
it's just
run
cheaper.
regular AA batteries in their fucking controller, and
Well, I
that's what
don't
they're
give a
trying to
shit.
get away from.
They can do whatever they want.
So that's why that's part of the reason, at least, that they did this.
They
But
did it so you buy a new controller when your battery fucking sucks, and you don't necessarily need a new controller.
like I said, if they were smart, they would release a new controller
They're
that's
not
exactly the
smart,
same, but with
they're
twice the
they're
battery.
not smart.
That would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, that
Because
this what
the
this
PlayStation
patent should
controller,
be for a controller with a bigger battery or a bigger replaceable battery.
I love the PlayStation 5 controller. It's fucking amazing. It feels incredible. But dear God, the battery life in it is fucking garbage.
And I definitely don't need to stick my fucking earbuds in it. This is gonna put gross ear stuff
Especially
in your controller when it already comes. Your fucking earbuds come with a little charging fucking cradle fucking thing holder. Like, it's just a weird.
But this is also not necessarily like
No,
this is every
it's
controller. This could also be like a, hey, we're gonna sell a charging cradle controller for earbuds, and if you're an idiot and you want to pay for it,
Yeah,
then we'll let you do that.
It's one of the. It's a solution for a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And also just, well, I guess we better patent this before the other guys do.
Yeah, but you also got to remember too, like how many companies patent shit that they aren't even necessarily gonna
tons.
like. Just because they patent this doesn't mean they're gonna fucking make it.
No, they patented
It just
just
means
to
that
fucking
somebody
make
came
it
up,
so someone else can't make it.
right?
half
Or
the
if somebody
time.
else does, then they can go to them and be like, "Look,
Hey,
motherfucker,
hey,
we
buddy.
patented this shit. You gotta
That's
pay
a
us a
pretty
bunch
fancy
of money."
controller you got there with the earbud charging slots you got there. Hey, you see this little piece of paper here, patent paper I got here in my hand here? You see that? Yeah.
You owe us a bunch of money.
If you're really unfortunate for something to happen to your fancy earbud charging controller there, bud.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this next story from Eurogamer by Ed Nightingale. PlayStation 5 Slim model release date seemingly leaks. Plus a Marvel Spider-Man 2 bundle. November, apparently. I thought I saw November 10th.
They said this.
No.
Like,
I don't
sorry, not a specific day, but
No.
during their announcement, they said this will be coming out in November in the United States.
Yeah. I guess,
and it'll be like.
I guess the big deal is the 10th, apparently.
Okay, I was like, man, like they've.
And then, of
said
course,
this.
when all the old systems are gone, this will be the only one.
Yeah, this will be taking over.
And the Spider-Man bundle, I think, just comes with the game. So it's not like with the fancy plates or anything. It's just a.
So, this is kind of the shitty thing about this new. Like, you got this PlayStation 5 Slim.
Mm-hmm.
It looks thinner. It's sexier. Whatever. It's a bummer that like they and like Sony, like all these game makers seem to do it. Like, you know, the Xbox 360 with their cool face plates. Now the PlayStation 5 came out and you could replace the side plates and make it look cool. And they were selling those, and like that whole thing is just now it's just gone. Like that whole aspect of this is just gone.
No,
you know what I mean? Like
for these ones.
I don't know that the top part of these plates come off though, because like the bottom, like you can see on the new ones where the bottom plates come off, but I don't think those top plates come off.
I don't see why they would change it.
What do you mean? Why wouldn't they change it? Like,
it's
they
extra money.
only
like, they're
need
making money off of selling stupid plastic plates. I'm pretty sure they're going to keep doing it.
I don't know how much they are. I have never gone into a store and seen
They're
plates sitting on a shelf.
$79 or something.
Yeah, they're fucking expensive.
Like the red and blue plates and the metallic ones they have coming. Yeah.
Oh, I
I,
know. I'm just saying, like, I just think it's kind of sad. Like, I wonder if this will
no one's
be.
touched these yet, and they haven't answered that or
Yeah,
confirmed that. So I
that's true.
don't I don't doubt that these wouldn't come off still. Like,
Oh no, like I said, from what I can tell and from what they've shown, the bottom underneath the band, those do come off. I just don't know if the top half of these come off. Is my point.
mm, yeah.
So
Well, no one's seen them or touched them, so
yeah, I guess we'll see.
I don't see why they would ditch that.
Well, it would be 4 pieces of plastic instead of 2.
Yeah, I don't know. This next story from VGC by Andy Robinson. The new voice of Mario has been revealed. Kevin Afghani announced the news on his Twitter account on Friday. Incredibly
Huh.
proud to have voiced Mario and Luigi in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Thanks to Nintendo for inviting me to the Flower Kingdom. He's known for voicing a character in Genshin Impact. I think he does other voice acting, obviously, as well.
Right.
People thought it was someone else from the demo and ripping files from the demo or something. And that
Oh.
person's like, I cannot confirm the if I am in or not in the game, but I'm not Mario.
Right.
Turns out that person does do a voice in the game.
Cool.
I don't see that person's that mention in this story. Oh yeah, no, here it is. Mick Wingert. So,
Huh.
but I think he does a different voice in Wonder.
Cool.
Yeah, so yay. Cool, I guess.
I feel like the only reason that this is kind of a story is because obviously one, Mario is so iconic, and two, Charles Martinet has voiced him for so long. But like, not to belittle Charles, like he was an incredible talent and like and stuff. But I would almost argue that what made Charles super cool was so much of the stuff in previous years that they don't really do anymore. You know, like going to trade shows and, like, you hear the stories about all the stuff they used to do back in the day. But, like, honestly, like the Mario, like, I feel like you could have almost swapped him out in a lot of the newer Mario stuff. And a lot of people probably would barely have even noticed. Because, like, it's not like Mario is talking. You know what I mean? Like, it's not
Yeah.
like he has, like, big dialogues and stuff. It's
Well,
such,
maybe
like,
they're gonna start, man.
you know, woohoo, wee, it's a me, a Mario. Like, like it's so it's like,
Yeah, there's not fully
you know,
rendered voiced cutscenes of Mario in anything.
right. It's, oh, like it's so. Anyways, yeah. So it's like it's
Maybe
cool. Like
maybe
good for
Martinet's.
this
I
guy.
don't know. He's an ambassador still.
Yeah.
He's getting up there. He's probably gonna
So
retire soon. Like, I don't know. He's gotta. I
yeah.
don't know. So congratulations to the new voice actor. He'll probably. I don't know. Maybe he'll have it forever, till he's old.
Yeah,
Like
maybe.
Martinet.
Or maybe they'll just swap it out. Maybe it'll be somebody new next time.
Yeah, they should
Who
have
knows?
different people voice him in every game.
That'd actually be kind of funny.
They should make him.
Man, they
Talk.
should do that for fucking Link, and then they could stop complaining about, and then stop making him a fucking silent protagonist.
Yeah.
That apparently he's talking. That apparently, like, other people know what he's fucking thinking. And anyways,
This next story also from VGC and Andy Robinson. Bethesda's head of publishing Pete Hines is leaving after 24 years.
yeah, that's
After an amazing career culminating in the incredible launch of Starfield, it feels like the time is right. When I first saw this, I'm like, oh man, the head honcho of Bethesda's going, and I'm like, oh no, that's Todd Howard. I got like mixed up
that's
for a
odd.
split. I got mixed up for a split second.
Although, to be honest, I wonder how much longer Todd's like. We gonna get another Elder Scrolls game, and then is that gonna be it for Todd? Like, kind of makes me wonder.
Yeah. Who knows? Like, yeah, he's retiring, new chapter of life. But like, I don't know. Is it just as simple as he's done? Is it a Microsoft buyout Bethesda thing? I like the head of publishing at Bethesda. Well, some of Microsoft can do that
I'm
now,
going to
right?
call it right now that within the next 5 years, we will probably see Pete Hines working for another video game studio
A
doing
new startup.
something. Uh, but it wouldn't surprise me if he probably fucks off for a while, spends some time with doing whatever. But it
Hmm.
would also not surprise me at all if he announces, or if it's
Announces a new
quietly announced or
studio, a bunch
whatever.
of ex Bethesda people.
I don't even know if he'd bother. Like, it just wouldn't surprise me if he was to end up at his studio that was like a bunch of ex Bethesda people were at down the road, and he was like, oh, I know I said I was going to retire, but like these guys, like I loved working with them at Bethesda, and they're working on some really cool
Like, let's
stuff,
be
and they could
honest.
help
Like,
me.
when you're upper tier video game personality like this, you can form a studio and 5 years make tens of millions of dollars, and
Yeah,
whether it succeeds or not, and just like, oh well, I just cashed in off my pedigree, you know.
yeah, but I mean, even if you're not interested in opening your own, there's also so many
Oh
other
God, anyone would.
places that,
Obviously,
right,
anyone would. He has a blank check anywhere he wants to go.
right, and
So he
that's kind
could
of
be
my
like,
point,
man,
right?
I want to go fucking work at Insomniac. Those guys make me fucking excited about video games.
So like, it wouldn't surprise me if he,
Popped up
quote unquote
somewhere after he had
retires.
his couple of years of fun.
But it also wouldn't surprise me if he announces in a few years that he's coming back working with somebody else or whatever, right? So
I don't know how old he is.
he doesn't look that old.
Got to be in his 50s for sure. I ran into him at one E3.
Yeah.
I think I said hi to him. That was the gist of it. He was in the booth and we were passing each other.
Yeah.
I don't have any memorable experiences with him. But he seemed
I
like
mean,
he
he's
seemed
25 years with the company is an awful long, or 24 years, I guess technically
he
is
seemed
it's
like
a
a
long
decent
time.
dude.
Yeah. So good for
Wish
him.
the best.
It always,
I will say though,
I've said it
fucking
before, it always makes me kind of go scratch my chin a little bit when I see people that have been at a company this long leaving. But we'll see. Time will
reading
tell.
into it too much, or
Maybe.
yeah, it's hard to tell, right?
Yeah.
Like I was
I
saying,
just
like,
like,
is this because he's like, well, they're part of Microsoft now. They've been part of Microsoft for quite a while now. Redfall was a flop. Starfield was good, not the amazing thing I think they wanted it to be. And it's like Microsoft could be like, oh, well, you know what? Now we're fucking getting more hands on, and a lot of stuff is redundant. So,
or I could just see him being like, you know what? I don't want to maybe, or maybe it's a case of like he feels that Microsoft is getting in the way and he's not
yeah,
jiving with
maybe
it.
he sees the
And
writing
he's
on the
like, you
wall,
know
or
what?
feel maybe he feels the axe on the back of his neck.
Yeah. Or just doesn't
He's a
jive
he's
with
a
the
big
way things
he's a
operate anymore, right?
he's a big target for letting people go, right?
Yeah. I like I said, to me I would feel like it's maybe a case of like he just doesn't feel like he jives with where Microsoft is going or what they, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but
Well, he could, yeah, because they were all hands off, and after
yeah.
Redfall, Microsoft's probably very handsy with Bethesda right now. And
Well,
it's like
I mean,
he
to
could
be
be like, I
fair,
don't
after
fucking, I
looking at
don't
the
like this
past
place anymore.
3 games that they'd launched, I can understand why
Oh,
they'd be a little
absolutely.
more on
Microsoft
hand.
should have
Like,
had their fucking hands up, all up in their business from day one. To be honest,
yeah, because I
Bethesda's
mean,
had a
you
couple
look back at
fumbles.
Redfall was a flop. Ghost Tokyo, what's it called?
It was okay.
Ghostwire Tokyo was not a great game.
Fallout 76 was
Fallout
like they're still
76. I mean, that
releasing shit
was.
for it, and it seems like it's kind of fucking rebounded a bit, but it's still like
I
it's
mean,
not
I don't.
what it.
I think Fallout 76 was pre-Microsoft, so that's a little different. But
Yeah, but still, it's still Bethesda.
yeah,
Everything's been
so.
pre-Microsoft. They bought them now, but like everything was started before Microsoft.
No, I think 76 came out before they got bought by Microsoft. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
So.
but like the purchase didn't change any of their other trajectory, right? Like they didn't release
No.
bangers after Microsoft bought them until Starfield, which is still debatable.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to have the legs that they're going to want. I've already been seeing a lot of people saying like, yeah, apparently it's fallen off quite hard, and apparently like Skyrim is a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm going to go back to playing Skyrim. Like I'm just not getting the same.
I put
So
100
we'll see.
hours into
I
it.
don't know.
I won't
Yeah.
play it anymore until all this new shit's gone, and or there's like a big major patch and fixes and upgrades.
It's still installed. I might give it one more try.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like let it get some patches and stuff, so hopefully
Yeah, there hasn't been anything
we'll
for a
see.
while, so
No, like I said, it is still managed to be taking up that space. Although with some of these other games coming out, I might need that space, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not super high on my list of staying on there, so it may go bye
I'm
bye.
pretty
But we'll see.
sure next we talk, the only thing I will have played is going to be Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
You're probably not wrong.
The reviews are fantastic. When we played it at PAX, I could already tell it's going to be a fucking classic. It's so good.
Yeah, you were
That's it
pretty
for news.
gushy about it.
Public service announcements. Epic Games Store freebies this week are Eternal Threads and The Evil Within. That's available right now as we speak.
Yep.
And then, of course, next week they already said it's Evil Within 2 and some. What was the other one?
That's for
Tandem.
next week's show, bro. What
I
are you
know, but
doing?
you already know what it is.
Spoilers.
Free for all section.
Fucker. Tell you.
Where we talk about
Right.
whatever the hell we like, primarily movies, tech, toys. Dane's got a movie.
Yeah, it was on my radar before, but I somehow kind of
21
missed
Bridges.
it. 21 Bridges. It's
Where
a
did you
Chadwick
watch this
Boseman
on
film.
Netflix?
It's on Netflix. I actually think it might be a Netflix film, actually.
Huh? The
It-
fuck?
Slid under my radar. Like I said, I remember when it came out. I remember kind of hearing a bit of buzz about it, but then for whatever reason, I kind of didn't watch it. It was like a year or two ago. It might have been 20. Like, this was one of the last things that he did before he passed. Fuck, it's good. I really, really liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little bit of Street Kings vibe to it. If you've seen Street Kings, also a fucking awesome banger movie. You should go watch that with Keanu Reeves. It's fucking great. But yeah, it's like he plays a detective in New York. Some shit goes down, and essentially the 21 Bridges represents the fact that they essentially lock down Manhattan. So like literally they close the bridges, the tunnels, the everything. So all 21 bridges in and out of Manhattan, they essentially lock down the whole island. Nobody can leave, nobody can come. Like the whole thing is wild. It's got a great cast, great characters. Sienna Miller is in it. She plays like sort of a narcotics cop that like he kind of picks up as somebody that gets like sort of assigned to him because of what's going on. And it's wild. It's cool. It's a lot of fun. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who might watch it, but I will just say like go check it out. It's a fun, action-packed romp. And one of the last things that he did, and he did such a good job. It's one of those moments where I finished it and I was like, fuck. I would have loved to have seen some more shit with that guy. Like, we definitely lost him way too soon. Oh, so much potential there. Cool film. Really, really fun. Like I said.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. Like I said, it's on Netflix. I don't believe it's on anything else, but yeah, cool movie. Like I said, he plays a detective. I'm trying to think of a way to kind of explain sort
It's
of
on
a
YouTube
quick
and
synopsis.
Apple TV.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, he's a detective trying to figure out what's going on. There's like a crew that do some shit that tends to go a little sideways. So they're trying to figure out what's going on, and he's trying to chase them to figure out what's going on.
After
and, like, the whole
uncovering
thing
a
is it's like,
massive conspiracy, an embattled NYPD detective joins a citywide manhunt for two young cop killers. As the night unfolds, he soon becomes unsure of who to pursue and who's in pursuit of him. When the search intensifies, authorities decide to take extreme measures by closing all of Manhattan's 21 bridges to prevent the suspects from escaping.
there you go. So it's cool. It's a lot of fun. It was really good. So go check it out.
I've
That's
actually
kinda
been lately, because I don't know if it's just because this year was kind of a shit year for movies, the writer's strike, and whatever other reasons. But like, there's just been like nothing. Like the last couple of weeks, like me and my wife were looking at stuff to watch on demand. And we're just like, ugh, I don't know what to watch. Like, just like nothing. It's like, ooh, I want to watch that. Ooh, I want to watch that. I will say, actually, this reminded me, we did watch something. We watched Strays.
Why does this sound familiar?
It's the dog movie. It's like a animal adventure movie going on a big journey.
Oh,
It's
right.
It's like, the dogs and the animals all talk and the people can't
A
understand
little bit
them.
like something like Milo and Otis, or
Yeah, it's Will
something like that
Ferrell
kind of
and
an
Jamie
idea.
Foxx, except for it's rated R and it's like dirty and has bad jokes and
Nice.
stuff.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It's kind of funny. It's not that great. You know, if I paid for it, I probably maybe would like been like
Not
ugh.
felt great about it.
Yeah, like I'm really glad I didn't go to theater to watch it. It doesn't have the best
Sure.
ratings, but there's definitely a couple pretty funny fucking parts in it that were pretty funny. But
Nice.
it's comedy. If you can get it for free or cheap or really are struggling, I wouldn't say like go out of your way to watch it. But I was entertained.
But if
The
it's
dog-
on or it's in front of you, definitely check it out.
The dog's talking about biting his old owner's dick off is pretty funny.
That's funny.
Jamie Foxx's character is pretty funny too. Will
Great.
Ferrell and Jamie Foxx are great in it.
That's awesome.
So anyway, it's silly. It's just, I wouldn't say
Right.
it's bad, but it's not amazing.
Yeah. Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff.
That's it, Dane. That's episode 419. That's your Spider-Man impression / review cast for all y'all. Enjoy. You'll all be, by the time you're listening to this, you'll all probably be playing it, and Super Mario Wonder.
Oh yes, Super Mario Wonder.
I will be
Is that
playing
next?
that.
That's
as
next
well.
week.
What's that? No, it's like
Super Mario
now.
Wonder, is that next week?
No, it's now.
Is it
Today.
actually out? Like
The
today?
20th. Yeah, Nintendo does the
Oh,
midnight.
tomorrow. Okay. Yeah.
So if you bought it digitally, you're playing it right now.
Gotcha.
You've been
Cool.
playing it since 9 o'clock. So,
Cool.
yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at RickF, RICF. Okay.
You can come find me on the socials at Dane Cody at DAYNECODY.
Remember to subscribe to the podcast. Geekoholics.com has all the subscription links. Share the show with your friends and families. Just tell them Geekoholics.com. That's the easiest way. Of course, you can join the Discord server, Geekoholics.com/Discord. And then, of course, you can catch us streaming on twitch.tv/Geekoholics every Wednesday, 8:30 Pacific time, which, who knows, maybe with the trend of doing Thursdays, we have our survey on the Discord to see if people want us to change it or not.
Yeah,
we were mulling it over, but
we were mulling it over, and it's hard because, like, obviously we've been recording on the same day for the last like 8 years plus at this point. So it's like it's kind of ingrained in our psyche as well as in our schedules. So it's like kind of hard to. But if it's also something that a lot of people would, appreciate or would like, hey, we would love to watch you guys live, but because you guys record on Wednesdays, that's kind of a killer for us, or yeah.
maybe put it to the vote.
Yeah.
And then of course you can support the show by throwing us your Twitch sub. Again, twitch.tv/Geekoholics. Like, follow,
Absolutely.
subscribe. We're Geekoholics everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. But let's be honest, the only social media I'm doing is Discord. But hey, we appreciate the likes and attention there if you do that. With that being said, Dane, I think we are done.
That's it. Go be good humans. We'll see you back here next week.
Peace.